One. What is up, freak bitches, wherever you may be, however you may be watching? Thank you for giving us just a little bit of your time. And we're here to talk today about some underrated movies that we think you guys absolutely should see. Do us a big favor, though. Like the stream. Share it out to everybody. Help push us up the algorithm because YouTube does absolute jack shit to help small creators like us. So help us out by doing that real quick. Don't forget to go down into the comments below and let us know some of the underrated movies that you guys like. There's a whole laundry list of them. We're only going to give you a few of them here during this stream, but we have some really good ones. So we're going to go right to Miss Cora and get this thing started. Lady Cora, let me introduce you guys first. I totally forgot to introduce my co-host, and I usually do. The first one is the Country Countess herself, Lady Cora. How are you tonight, ma'am?
I'm great. Had a very productive day. We took the car to go put those rain deflectors on, that you can put over the windows. And we didn't do it, but they're so low on car inventory. They offered us a huge chunk of change to buy our car from us so they can resell it. It was the weirdest thing. And we're like, no, we like our car. We'll keep it. But thanks. It was just so strange. Sorry.
Because it is.
Sidebar. Yeah.
And, of course, my hetero life mate himself, Mr. Jeremy Wolner. How are you doing today, sir?
Pretty good. I just paid off my car, so now I own that.
Woohoo!
Well, you've
That's
got that
awesome.
Now it's time for something else to break on it. So.
Oh no, let's hope it doesn't.
Oh, dude, it was I went in there. She told me you only got about like $2,000 left in your car. I usually tell people, hey, just if you want to, so quit paying interest on, keep paying monthly payments, just pay this all off. Probably a good idea. I'm like, I'll think about that. Goddamn, the next day, the transmission went the fuck out. It was about that much to fucking get it replaced. Yeah, to get it replaced. And it wasn't even, they don't have my transmission anymore. My car's not even that old, so I had to get a used one. So I'm like, huh? And also, well, there goes that.
Cars are built to fail. That's how they make money off them.
Or get stolen.
I know.
Or get stolen, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to all you guys in the chat. What's up, Casey?
Is it too soon, Frank?
What's that?
Is it too soon?
It is too soon. Not really.
Sorry.
Not really.
The asshole.
I was never that mad about it when it happened anyway, so I was okay. What's up, everybody in chat? What's up, Casey? What's up, Greg? I just saw him a little bit ago. We were playing some baseball together. Let's see. Rachel's in here. What's going on, Rachel? Miss Cora on the call with us, of course. Gina J. What's up, Gina? Good to have you around. Now, let's get right to it. And we'll start with Lady Cora. And the first underrated movie that she thinks you guys should see. Go ahead.
Okay. The first one is called A Simple Twist of Fate from 1994. It's a Steve Martin movie that a lot of people may not know about. Basically, he's scorned in a divorce, and he goes off and becomes a carpenter in a small town, just starting his life over as a, kind of a social hermit because he was so hurt from his divorce. And minding his own business, this little girl ends up showing up on his doorstep, literally, because in the middle of a snowstorm, there was a car accident, and her mom died, and the toddler saw the lights from his cabin and ended up adopting her and raising her. And Gabriel Byrne is in it. Laura Linney. What's her name? Catherine O'Hara is in it as well as a supporting cast. Really great movie about family, small town, but also a very dramatic movie about basically it turns out Gabriel Byrne is actually the child's father, but he didn't want to admit it because he was having an affair, but his wife now can't have children, so then he wants to have the baby. There's a court case about custody. So there's some drama to it, but there's a really beautiful side to it about just loving people because you want to, not because you're related to them. And father-daughter dynamic is beautiful in this. Very little known movie. When I looked at it, I loved this movie for a long time. I somehow ran across it many years ago. A lot of people didn't even know about it. And it wasn't really poorly received per se, but it was one of those kind of just went under the radar. It was based on a book by George Eliot called Silas Marner. So it had a great, literary background. But anyways, fantastic movie in my opinion. I never heard of the director, Gillies McKinnon. But really, really heartwarming, great movie. So there you go.
Jeremy, have you ever seen this movie?
I have not seen this movie, and I also apologize for the giant clap I just did a second ago. I mixed that drink and the shit was strong, so
Oh, I didn't even hear it.
everybody. If anyone's wondering why the fuck I just did that, like, nobody cares.
Okay.
Got fucking some fucking rum. That shit was really strong. No, I have not seen this movie.
Yeah, I'm actually very surprised. I haven't seen this one either. I got to be honest. I don't know if I've ever heard of this film, which is very odd to me because it's Steve Martin, and I love Steve Martin because it's like everything
It's
he's
very
ever been in, he's been gold.
And he is in this. And the beautiful thing about this movie is, if for those people who don't like romantic stuff in movies, there's no romantic angle in the plot whatsoever. It's just about this guy trying to start his life over and how he ended up adopting a child, and some drama over, custody with her real father in this small town. I mean, it's just a great dramatic, heartwarming piece that doesn't have stupid shit in it. And it's Steve Martin, so you can't lose here. So
This is kind of where he made his bread and butter for a while too. I mean, because I was glancing at the year that you put on there, and it came out right around the same time that Parenthood did, and Parenthood is one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. I just every bit of that movie, every frame of that movie is just gold to me. I love it. But yeah, but this was he did these family dramedies really well back in the 90s. Yeah, it was good stuff Steve Martin did. I'm gonna have to look into this one. I'm not big on the really sappy things, but I would give this.
this
a
is
try
more
just 'cause it's Steve
beautiful.
Martin.
This is more poetically beautiful than sappy, if that makes sense.
I don't know. I might have to look into it. I'm sure it's on one of the streaming services somewhere. I've only got 12 streaming services to choose from. But yeah, I'll have to look into this one. Yeah, that's a pretty good pick.
Cool.
You guys should definitely go check this thing out. But I think we'll move on now to Jeremy's first pick. He's got a list of a couple of pretty cool ones. Jeremy, what's the first one you want to throw at us?
I think I'm going to set up in a nice way that it kind of goes from known, or you think known, to like completely unknown, because I even got Frank with one of these. Doesn't even fucking heard of it. But I'll start at the top. My first one is Sky High. Don't fuck. I'm usually pretty good about this. I don't remember when this. I want to say it was like early 2000s. This movie came out, and it's out on the cover. It describes it as like basically if the Incredibles met Harry Potter, and there's no other way to really describe it. It's kind of it's a cool concept, and the thing that really sucks about it is, I'm sure people watched this movie when it came out, because I mean it's not like you had like unknown people in it. Like you had fucking Kurt Russell and John Travolta's wife, Kelly
Preston.
Yes, Kelly Preston.
The one who died.
Unfortunately, recently passed away, which really sucks. Yeah, they play kind of like the parent team dynamic duo of superheroes that like with the greatest superheroes in the world. He's got like super strength. She can like fly. I think that's it. She might have super strength too, but and now it's about their kids going to high school, and that's where they go, is this place called Sky High. It's this high school. It's up in the air, and it's where they all learn to like use their powers and kind of just learn how to find themselves, because that's what high school is all about. So now you got superpowers thrown in, and it's a pretty cool movie. It's funny that. And also, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, who I absolutely fucking adore, is in this movie too.
Yeah.
You got Ramona Flowers in this bitch. Come on. Who ends up ironically playing the bad guy, who dealt with, I almost called him Mr. Incredible, who deals with the Commander. That's his name. Kurt Russell's name. That's a cool name. Come on. The Commander Jetstream. I remember their names now. Yes. She dealt with them back in the day, and her little gun called like the pacifier, which throws people into babies, like exploded on her back in the day when they defeated her. And she got turned into a baby, and she basically had to restart her life over, which just kind of sucks. But hey, she's for round 2, I guess, and it's cool. And the sad part is like they had planned like a series of these movies like for each year of high school they were going to go through, but obviously it fell through and never happened, which is really unfortunate because I thought this had a lot of potential. That's my first one.
Yeah, I thought this movie was a pretty fun one to watch. It's a fun little, interesting, not so normal take on the superhero genre. Something that's actually gotten very popular to do over the last several years. Cora, have you ever seen this film? What are some of your thoughts?
I have, and I didn't like it.
Really?
I'll be nice.
Well,
I thought it was hokey. I thought mind you, you have to understand, maybe I just was too old for this movie when it came out, and I don't have kids, so I didn't appreciate the youthfulness because I have children. It wasn't for me.
Fair.
I mean, I could see why people would like it. It's got great cast in it. Yeah, it was okay, but I did see it, so that says something. I saw it because Kurt Russell and Kelly Preston were in it. So the names brought me to it, so that says something about the movie.
Yeah,
it was okay.
I thought this movie was kind of fun. I mean, for one, it was before Disney bought into Marvel, before they bought Marvel and got into the superhero game the way they are now. So they were able just to kind of do this weird take on the superhero genre, and why not do exactly what Jeremy was talking about, kind of make it a mix between the superhero genre and the Harry Potter model, and kind of say, well, instead of Hogwarts, we've got this in the clouds that trains superheroes to be either superheroes or sidekicks and helps them discover and hone their powers. It's simple enough premise. I mean, it's not something that hasn't been done in movies before, and I thought it was fun. I mean, this is one of those movies you can't take it too seriously. If you try to take it seriously and treat it like it's going to be an Oscar-worthy movie, you're going to kind of miss it. You're going to be disappointed.
Oh, I agree.
But
It's meant to be campy and funny. Yeah.
Yeah, like comic booky almost. Like if it was, if you got Bruce Campbell in there, I don't explain that. He's Bruce Campbell, man. He's one of the funniest fucking. He was the gym teacher, right? That fucking divided them into hero or sidekick classes. That's just. I can't go wrong with Bruce Campbell. I'm sorry.
Yeah, then you have Daniel Pennebaker, who ended up going on to play Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., one of the main roles in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So, yeah, it was. I don't know. I thought it was a fun movie. I think you guys should check it out. Again, it's goofy. Don't take it seriously. Just kind of turn your brain off, stuff your face full of popcorn, and just watch the craziness happen. It does telegraph a few things, which is kind of disappointing. I don't like when movies do that, but I mean, come on. Just, like I said, just watch it, have fun. It's Disney. It's one of those Disney things where it's mostly for kids, but it's got that little bit of innuendo here and there that the parents are just like, we get it, but you don't get it. We get it, but you don't understand that yet. So it's got some of those things. Yeah, it's a fun movie. Go watch it.
We know what's going on.
I'd put it up there with, like, I mean, maybe not the Mighty Ducks, but it's a fun family thing. You just watch it when you want to be entertained for a while.
I would say this. It would be a fun movie to put on the background, like when you're like cooking a big dinner, or something, and you're cooking, and you finish the tail end of it while you're eating, kind of thing.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Yeah, put it on and watch it. If you, it's not a waste of 2 hours of your time just to sit and give it a try. And to top it all off, there's some pretty good action in it. I mean, it's got some. I mean, towards the end, when you get into like the battle between good and evil, it does get pretty actiony. It does feel a lot like what we're getting from Marvel these days and DC and all that stuff. It's some good action towards the end. So give it a go. I think you guys
start using their powers and shit.
Yeah, I think you guys will like it. And there is a bit of a coming of age thing to it. Are you gonna? And you got
I know. I got it. I was like, wait, and I thought you were gonna say a cameo. I'm like, that's right, because you got fucking Linda Carter in there as the school principal. You got Wonder Woman as the principal. How cool is?
That was. I forgot about that. That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And Rod Farber,
she even makes a joke about it. She's like,
bus driver.
He goes in there and she's like, somehow like trying to get them to settle down. She walks out the room. She's like, I'm not Wonder Woman, I'm like, son of a bitch. Rob Wilson was pretty fucking cool.
Those fun little jokes. Go check out Sky High. It's a fun movie. I think you guys get a kick out of it. Now, see, which one do I want to lead with? I'm going to lead with one that a lot of people probably haven't even heard of. I'm willing to. I've talked about this before on the show, but again, it was a very independent film, and my cousin Sabrina just subscribed from over there on my couch. She's hanging out. I got some relatives from Texas right now, so thank you to her for subscribing. Now I just need you to share it and like it. Maybe one of these days you can come on and you can be on the show with us. But yeah.
Hey.
But this is one. I'm a sucker for anything World War II. I studied the Holocaust a lot when I was in high school, and even after high school, I still kind of study up on the whole, just everything about World War II. It's a very interesting thing to me. I went for my first movie, The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. Again, I've talked about
heard
this.
of that.
I've talked about this a couple of times in a couple of different shows. It's got some names you know in it. Vera Farmiga for one. David Thewlis is another. David Thewlis, obviously famous from the Harry Potter movies and stuff like that. Not to mention several other things. He's actually been in a couple of World War II based films that are actually very, very good. But this one's it's a very different view of World War II than you get from a lot of movies. David Thewlis plays a SS officer who was working at a concentration camp during World War II. His son is the one you see on the right there. And he befriends this kid in the striped pajamas, which is actually one of the prison garb that the Jews would wear in one of these concentration camps. And as you can see from the poster, they strike up this friendship from different sides of the barbed wire, and it really is kind of this. It's this interesting example of how kids kind of see relationships a lot differently than adults do. Kids don't know that they're supposed to hate people, so they just kind of naturally gravitate to them and want to be friends with everybody. The ending of this is gutting. It is a terribly honest, but just gut wrenching ending. You watch this movie and you get into it again. It's very cerebral. It's very thought provoking. Not a lot of action, but the last 15 minutes of the movie, just the heartbreak that is felt by a couple of the main characters when it all goes down at the end. It is one of those endings that you really did not see it coming until it starts to kind of roll down that hill, and you're like, wait a minute, no, and then it happens, and you're like, holy shit, you cannot possibly tell me that that's how this movie ends. And it does, and it was one of the more haunting yet, I think, honest portrayals of what life or what the situation anyway. Maybe not what life was like in the concentration camps, but just kind of like why that whole way of thinking was just so terrible to begin with. Have either one of you guys ever seen this movie? I know I've mentioned it a couple of times in a couple of different streams. Okay, well, give me some of your thoughts on it. It's actually a rather old movie. I think it came out in I want to say early
2008.
2000s. Yeah, well, that's right about there.
Like you, that's another thing we have in common. I love everything World War II. My mother collected World War II war bond memorabilia and the buttons and stuff.
Yeah.
And I studied it in high school. I read all the books about Holocaust experience for fun because I was just so fascinated by what was happening and stuff. But this movie, well done. And it tells a story that a lot of people don't want to hear or see. And some of the best portrayals of World War II, whether you're talking about the concentration camp experience or the soldiers themselves, are the ones that are very personal. You know what I mean, Frank? Where it's just it's more, it's like you bring it down on a level where it's a small group of people that they focus in, and it's not the big war picture, in itself. Like Saving Private Ryan is so moving because you're focusing on this one soldier and hearing about his family back home and the small group led by Tom Hanks that go to find him. You get to know them as well. In this story, that's the case. I mean, you get personally attached and you see literally the grass is greener on the other side of the fence. That in this case, it's true. And yeah, great actors in this movie. I don't know much about the director, Mark Herman. And he wrote, it looks like he wrote the screenplay. I don't know much about him, but it was done very well. And I liked it, and I like anything World War II, like you. So I think it's a good pick. And if a lot of people haven't seen it and they have, the interest in this genre, I think they should definitely see this.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Jeremy, have you ever seen this movie?
I have not, but I have heard of it. For some reason, when you said it, I was thinking of Empire of the Sun with Christian Bale. I thought that was like that movie when he played a kid. It was like,
oh,
I thought you were talking about that because like when he was a kid, I remember the barbed wire fence between the two. I'm like, oh, that's not it. No, no, I have not seen this, but don't ruin it for me. That sounds like it's like one of those little hey, I'm along for the ride, and then there's this big gut punch at the end that I didn't ask for. So.
Oh yeah, and that gut punch in the end, man. It's one of those parts where I would have cried, but it hit me so hard in the gut, in just right in the chest. I was just like, I couldn't have. I didn't have time to process it. When
Didn't have time to.
Wait a minute, you can't be serious right now. And then by the time I actually had the time to process an emotional level, the movie was over, and I was like, holy shit, that's weird. That's not right. But yeah, definitely go check out The Boy in the Striped Pajamas. And as Sabrina mentioned in the chat, it's also based on a book. I have not read the book. I would imagine the book is probably every bit as good as the film. But you guys should definitely go check that out as well. And Miss Cora, I'm sorry, Jeremy. No, we're back to Miss Cora. See?
No.
My timing's all off.
Yeah.
This is what happens when I try to start the stream super freaking late. Miss Cora, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
The next one I have is called Frequency from 2000. It has Dennis Quaid, Jim Caviezel, Sean Doyle, Elizabeth Mitchell, who's more known for TV, but and Andre Braugher, he was on Grey's Anatomy, and I love Noah Emmerich from that show, The Americans. He was in it. He plays one of the best friends. Some people either love it or hate it. I was drawn to this movie for two reasons. I love time travel movies and I love crime movies. And this is both. Basically, it's this weird paradox of time where the son 30 years later fires up a ham radio in his family home that he kept after his parents passed, or one of his parents passed, I should say. And ends up talking to his dad on the same ham radio from 30 years before in the same house. And it's all about them trying to cheat death in a way and solve a murder mystery, because John, the son, is a cop in his adult life. And his dad's a firefighter in the 60s. Anyways, it's if you take the logic of trying to figure out how they're manipulating time here out of the equation, for me, it's a great movie. The ending is, maybe too perfect, but I liked it. But all the same, the bad guy in this movie is, where is it? Sean Doyle. Sean Doyle plays the bad guy in this. He's a murderer, and he is in both cases in the past and the future, and it's interesting. So it's like they're using the concept like when the aurora borealis appears, somehow it transcends this ability to talk through time using the ham radio signals. They're not actually moving physically; it's just through communication. Anyways, I loved it. It was decently received. It didn't do great in the box office. I mean, the budget was 31 million. The box office was 68. It didn't win any major awards. A lot of people say that, it was very well done, but it didn't get a lot of praise, but it didn't, it gets a 70% approval rating with Rotten Tomatoes. It's one of those floater movies, and to me that's why it's kind of like an underrated movie, because for me I think it's fantastic because it had both those elements, and the acting was good and the music was good as well. The soundtrack was great.
I don't remember much about the soundtrack. I remember seeing this movie when it came out. I don't think I've seen it since, but I also am kind of interested in even the concept of time travel. I think it makes great fodder for movie and television though. Jeremy, what are some of your thoughts on this movie?
That sounds kind of interesting, to be honest. Isn't it like the time traveler's wife is like kind of the same way? Like they're in the different time periods, but they're all talking to each other through
no time
the
traveler's
mailbox
like no, that you're thinking of the Lake House, where they talk through a mailbox. Okay. Time traveler's wife is where he actually time travels himself. Like he meets her when she's a little kid, and then he ends up marrying her later. That's not creepy saying that.
Oh, okay.
That's more like the show Quantum Leap, where he actually kind of just hops around without control. But this is just communication, like you said, the lake house through the mailbox. Yeah, it's a great analogy.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I won't give it all away and there's a lot to unpack in explaining it if I was going to give it all away, but very well done.
First
Dennis
off,
Quaid is fantastic.
In the mispronounced names department, it's actually Jim Caviezel, is how I've always heard it pronounced.
Caviezel. Okay.
Andre
Thank
Brower. and Noah Emmerich.
Yeah, I've stepped in it.
It's also got Elizabeth Mitchell in it. I think Elizabeth Mitchell's really, really good. She's been in so many things that they were really, really good for some reason, just didn't last. She was in a couple of TV shows I really liked that for some reason just couldn't get legs to keep going. One of them was the V revival that came out back in 2000, I want to say 2007, 2008, which I actually really liked, but just didn't make it. Yeah, she's very, very good as well. You know, I remember seeing this film a long time ago, and I don't think I've seen it since. I think I probably saw it around the time that it came out. But I love everything time travel. It's something that lends itself very, very well to film because there's so much you can do with it. There's so many different ways you can approach it. Either the development of it, the use of it, the ethics of it. I mean, there's so many different things that you can do in time travel with a movie as far as the story is concerned. I know a lot of people kind of shit on it because it's kind of a lazy way of telling a story if you need to use it to reset something or something like that. But if you really try to examine it from different levels, it can be very, very interesting to go into. I've mentioned a couple times this mockumentary that's on Amazon called The History of Time Travel, which I've always thought was very, very fun to watch. But it's a good movie that I hope you guys will get a chance to check out. Jeremy, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
Side note, I looked up when Sky High came out in 2005. Now I understand why I like that movie, because I started middle school at that time, and it was a big, scary thing. Okay. It was going to bug me if I didn't look it up. So, now sorry. I'm like, that's why. Sorry, people are blowing my fucking phone. Now I'm actually going to look this one up. My next one, sorry, is George of the Jungle from 1997 with our good old boy, Brendan Fraser.
Oh, you're going highbrow with us on this one.
Yeah, all right. I just realized I did 2 Disney movies in a row, but whatever. I didn't realize that. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's your picks. That's what matters.
Yeah, I just didn't realize I did. I don't realize I do that until after. Yeah, it's George of the Jungle. We all know who that is. Swings on a vine, smacks into trees. Totally not like Tarzan's cousin or some shit.
The song of this movie.
You really shouldn't. We're not going to get subscribers doing that. They're going to leave. Yeah, I don't know. This is after the Mummy, right? So you think Brendan Fraser's on this fucking high, and I don't know what happened because I'm like, I don't hate this movie. It's just I went back and watched it again recently because it was on Disney Plus. So I'm like, you know what? It's been a minute. Then again, watching it as an adult now, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's kind of goofy, but I don't know. I didn't hate it still, and I was still enjoying it in a weird way. It's fucking these people come into the jungle, and George ends up falling in love with fucking Judd Apatow's probably not then wife, but her. And I don't what's that guy's name? It's gonna bug me now. Thomas Hayden Church. I was gonna say Sandman for the OG fans out there of Spider-Man.
This movie came out in 97.
Plays her. Okay, so this was before that.
She's a little bit before.
Wow, it was really close then. Yeah. So I don't know. It seemed like everything was in place, and again, there was a sequel in 2003 or something, and it wasn't even Brendan Fraser anymore. So I don't know what happened to him, but it's a fun little. And who is it? John Cleese plays Ape, and he's the best part of that fucking movie. Other than the two poachers, who else better to play this little snarky but slightly classy ape other than John Cleese? It's funny.
What do you think about this film, Cora?
I chose not to see it some time ago.
You don't stop hating on all my picks. God damn it.
I'm not hating on all your picks. I just when they have
We're
people
2-0
in
right now.
monkey suits, I don't watch it. It's weird. I tolerated it in that one movie where I forget what it is, and Bill Murray's partying in a train car at New Year's, and something about some people in a monkey suit. I don't remember that the rest of the movie, but anyways,
Well,
I don't know. This just looked, in my opinion, at the time when it was offered to me, it looked stupid. I can't say I can judge it honestly because I have not seen it. So,
Well, that was the whole point of some of the stuff that Disney was
my-
even making around then. It's like there was this, there
okay.
was Jungle to Jungle, there was I don't know, a slew of movies they came out with from the mid '90s up to about the year 2000. I mean, and on top of that, George of the Jungle was a pretty well-known IP from way back in like the '60s, so it was pretty ripe to get like a modern storytelling. And why not Brendan Fraser? Because he was the hot, good-looking young guy at the time, and you could make it kind of goofy.
He was in a lot of movies in this time period, wasn't he? Wasn't this kind of like prime Brendan Fraser season?
Oh, this was the beginning. I think this was the last movie he made before The Mummy, and The Mummy was his real coming out party. So I mean, yeah. So and this was about the time he was doing stuff like
wasn't he in the Dome or like
Encino Man? He was in with Pauly Shore stuff like that. So yeah, he was the guy for a while to make kind of goofy movies like this, and then he became the action star with The Mummy because he could still kind of like say the goofy things, but be the modern day kind of second coming of Indiana Jones, that kind of thing.
Is it still on Disney Plus?
I would imagine this movie's on Disney Plus. I haven't looked for it.
Well, then you know what, Jeremy? Well, next time I'm doing a big cooking thing, I'm going to put this on and give it a go. How's that?
Well, it's just like
see if it gives me some laughs.
Don't take it seriously. I mean, did you ever watch any like the George of the Jungle cartoons when you were a kid, like I did?
No.
Well, because, like I said, it's an IP that goes back to, like, the 60s. It was like a Saturday morning cartoon for a long time. When I was a kid growing up in the early 80s, the George of the Jungle cartoons were on. And so this was just, it was inevitably going to be a live-action thing because the 90s is when they really started to try to make a push to make some of this animated stuff live-action. So, I mean, it seemed like it was one of the prime things you could do because all the kids that grew up watching it were in that demographic, in that 25 to like 50 age demographic, that all those people grew up watching George of the Jungle on cartoons. So
now your niece is saying something in the chat. She's saying their first and the second are on Disney Plus. Was there a sequel to this with him?
There actually was a sequel to this movie. I don't remember if I ever. There was
a sequel. It was not with Brendan Fraser though. That's what kind of makes it mad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was.
And it's like the kid from 2.5 Men. It's not. It's. I think I watched it once, and again, I was a kid, and I still was kind of like, the fuck's this? This isn't the same. I don't know.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I think.
Yeah, like I said, even as a kid, I fucking knew better.
I think that one ended up going straight to DVD.
Probably. It's not good. I mean, also my only caveat to like the whole ape thing, it's like, well, you put somebody in a suit and you have a pretty well done animatronic, or for the face and making them match the words, or you go the expensive route and like try to train an ape to do this shit. Not that they couldn't, but I'm like, I mean, I'd go with the route of, hey, fuck it, let's just do it in a suit and let them.
It's supposed to be hokey, funny. I get it. Yeah.
Well, and he's like a sophisticated ape. You're not, he's gonna sit there. He's sitting there with his reading glasses on in the corner, reading a book and like painting a fucking picture. Like I can't. Ape's like the best part. It's kind of like a little father figure to George.
No doubt. But go check out George of the Jungle. It's a funny, goofy movie. Yeah, the special effects aren't great. Some of the wire work, I think, is actually invisible. But it's fun. It's just like Sky High. It's you just watch it, you accept it for what it is. It was a pretty awesome IP for about 30 years. That's why they went ahead and did it. And I think just at that point, just the character had kind of died out. I don't think anybody ever tried to push it past that. I know I think the sequel ended up going straight to DVD. I don't think they ever tried to make like a TV show or a cartoon or anything out of it. So they never. I think just kind of the character just kind of died from that point on. It's kind of unfortunate, but whatever. Go check out George of the Jungle. It's a fun movie. Now for my next movie, where do I go with this one? I'm going to go kind of tension drama kind of thing with the movie Identity. Now, I mean, you can see the cast that's on the on the poster on the screen. You can see John Cusack, Ray Liotta, Amanda Peet, Alfred Molina, Clay Duvall, and Rebecca De Mornay. So a whole lot of people who are really, really good at acting. But the plot of the movie is what's very interesting. All these 5 people find themselves kind of stuck in some hotel in the middle of the desert in Nevada during a big rainstorm that has washed out the road. One of them is a police officer who is escorting apparently a dangerous person to wherever he needs to go, to court or jail or whatever. And of course, all kinds of crazy shit ends up happening. People start getting found dead. There's all manner of
Sounds
different
like
people
Clue.
here. Oh no, it's a much more tense version of Clue. Clue is meant to be goofy and funny, and it's a fantastic movie. But this is meant to be very dark, very sinister. It is very much a whodunit, and you do not know until the very end who is really responsible for all this, and the ending will shock you. It will shock the fuck out of you. I would go as far as to say. But it's kind of part psychological thriller, part study into the mind of a madman, and it's pretty interesting, especially because there's kind of two different places that this movie takes place. One is at the hotel, and one is with this other person. You don't really know how they're intertwined until you get to a certain point of the movie, and John Cusack's character has this kind of revelations about what's really going on. And once that big reveal happens, you're kind of like, holy shit, this is not what I thought it really was. Everything I thought about this movie was wrong. And then as you start to see it in the accurate light, you're like, holy wow, this is some crazy shit going on. And again, there's an ending that is mind-blowingly good. It's like when you see it, you can't help but smile and say, damn, you got me. You had me hook, line, sinker, that it was this thing, but it was this thing all along, and it looks great. It's awesome. But I've never understood why this movie didn't resonate better. I mean, for one, like I said, there's a million people in it that are fantastic. Let me pull up a full cast list real quick so I can get.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Ray Liotta, Amanda Peet, by the way, who I think is not as well known, but she's fantastic. John McGinley from that show Scrubs.
Yes, John McGinley is in it.
Pruitt Taylor Vince, who was the priest in Constantine. And Rebecca De Mornay, she's just beautiful inside and out. And it got I can't remember what I've seen him in, but he's been in a lot of things. Carmen Argenziano. There's a lot of people in this. I haven't even heard of this movie. I'm totally watching this movie.
Yeah, it's a very psychological thriller, and again, it kind of walks you down one path, and then you finally realize what's going on after John Cusack has this kind of coming to Jesus moment. And when you start to put it together, you're like, oh, really? That's really what's been going on this whole time? And then even after you get the big reveal, there is still this ride that you go on from that point on that is pretty crazy all in and of itself. So, yeah, I mean, again, you've got some...
Holy shit, it did well.
Yeah, you got some
Look at the box office.
But it died. It's like this movie went away. I mean, it's got
I haven't even heard of it.
It's got 62% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is not terrible. Rotten Tomatoes. I don't hold that site in a lot of esteem these days anyway, but that's not a bad score to have on Rotten Tomatoes. And it's got a ton of actors in it that are just fantastic. I mean, Cusack for one. I mean, he's a legend. You know, Alfred Molina, awesome. Rebecca De Mornay is a legend. McGinley, William Scott Lee, Jake Busey's in it. Pruitt Taylor Vince has had a very long career doing all kinds of cool stuff. There's so many people in here that you would see them and you're like, oh, he's in it. Oh, he's in it. Oh, she's in it. Holy shit, there's a whole lot of actors that I am really, really impressed with that are in this movie. And you do. I love the psychological thriller stuff. This is one of the best ones I've ever seen. And I don't, for the life of me, I don't know why it came and went and just disappeared. I've always thought this is one of those movies that should be held out there as something that everybody should see. But it's just me. Jeremy, have you ever seen this movie?
I mean, it looks great from what I can see about it.
I have not seen this movie, but I mean, like you said, you know, it sounds like, dude, John Cusack does some like wild shit sometimes, like fucking 1408 and shit like that, like mind bending shit. So I'm like, you know, I love that dude. Sounds like something I would actually watch.
And John Cusack, for as good as he is in stuff like High Fidelity and some of the other stuff that he's been in, you know, holding the radio up and everything, playing the song.
Say anything.
Yeah, say anything. He actually does this like not horror but the psychological thriller stuff well. You mentioned 1408. I mean, he does that stuff very, very well. There's an intensity when he tries to take on a dramatic role but it's palpable. It's very, very good. I've always thought that he hasn't gotten nearly enough credit for being the great actor he is, but I mean, maybe he doesn't want it. I've always thought maybe he just kind of does this thing and goes on to the next movie. I don't know. But yeah, go check out Identity. I think it's a fantastic movie that you guys all should see. And again, very, very tense. You think it's going one way, and then you get the big M. Night Shyamalan twist at one point, and then on to the crazy roller coaster that is the finish of the movie. So go check that out. Miss Cora, what's the next movie you want to talk about?
The next one I have is called Arbitrage from 2012. It's labeled as a drama thriller. The summary for Internet Movie Database is basically a troubled hedge fund magnate desperate to complete the sale of his trading empire makes an error that forces him to turn to an unlikely person for help. This is written and directed by someone who's really an unknown, Nicholas Jarecki. Susan Sarandon plays his wife, and Britt Marling plays his adult daughter who works for his business. I had never heard of this movie, and I'm a Richard Gere movie fan. I somehow ran across it on Netflix about 9 months ago and just watched it, and I was like, I couldn't move. I was so moved by watching it. It was released in at Sundance Film Festival, and then 9 months later released in the United States. It had a very small budget of $12 million. It did well on the box office, $35 million, and Richard Gere got a Golden Globe nomination for his performance, but I hadn't even fucking heard of it, and I asked a bunch of people I knew, they'd never heard of it. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 88%. It seems like, a hidden gem of a movie. It's fast-paced. He's kind of an asshole in this movie, and it's Susan Sarandon does a really great job in it, and I couldn't say there's hardly anybody else who's really well known in this movie besides those two.
Yeah,
I mean, Tim Roth, he plays it. Yeah, I was gonna say he plays the detective that kind of is sniffing down the trail of Richard Gere's character, Robert Miller. But I don't know. This movie just surprised me when I watched it. And if you want something just kind of random but good, it's kind of keep you on the edge of your seat, this is good. I mean, and the ending is surprising, but not like big eventful, but it just kind of, I don't know. It's good and interesting to me. I'm not expressing it very well. But it's a good movie, and it's one of Richard Gere's best performances, in my opinion.
Jeremy, have you ever seen this film? I gotta be honest. Until she gave it to me in the list, and then I looked it up, I was like, I remember the poster, but I can't say I've ever seen the film.
No, I haven't either, and I guess I'm with everyone else. I had never heard of this movie.
Now, when I was looking up info about it, they only spent $3 million promoting this film.
Wow.
So I don't think anybody knew about it.
Yeah, that's not a huge market.
Maybe Richard Gere didn't even know about it. Who knows? Fucking got there, he's like, I don't know what we're doing. All I know is we're making a movie. No. I'm not saying like I watch things with Richard Gere in them. That's not a saying anything. I'm saying I don't know. I just haven't seen a lot of his movies. But yeah, I've never heard of this. So I don't have much to say about it, to be honest.
Yeah, if you haven't seen, I mean, I'm not going to give it away, but it's just, I don't know. It shows the dark side. It shows really how publicly and privately people can be very different. And there's nothing heartwarming about it, but it's a great dramatic thriller.
How would you compare it to something like Wall Street?
Oh, okay.
This is very specific in a very short time span about the sale of his business and some stuff that happens in his personal life and how his family figures it out and how they all sort it all out. I would say it's in that echelon of lifestyle portrayal as Wall Street. Wall Street's better, but that's also more of a longer, that's going over a longer period of time. This is like almost just like a flash in the pan, like 2-week period of time here that it covers, if that, maybe 2 weeks. I think it's as good. It's just a different type of movie.
Because greed, for lack of a better word, is a good thing.
Because the way you describe it, it sounds like kind of a different take on the Gordon Gekko character. Not, I mean,
Yeah,
or Gordon
but
Gekko-like
there's a
character,
crime. There's a crime aspect to it though, because he commits a crime and he tries to cover it up, and this detective is chasing after him, and he's at the same time trying to run his business and sell his business and juggle covering up a crime, selling his business, and keeping his family loyal to him. And it's about how all the cards start to fall and how somebody can or can't, keep it together. I'm not sure if that makes sense, but yes, What Lies Beneath was a great movie, and this kind of has that tenor to it, Jen. Thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Good pick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to.
If you like What Lies Beneath, watch this.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into this one. Like I said, I remember the poster, but I can't remember ever seeing the movie anywhere. I feel like it's one of those ones that was in theaters for a while. It probably got kind of run out by. It probably opened up against another huge movie,
Harry Potter or
something
something
like that.
Right.
Something just kind of drowned it out of the box office, but they didn't really give it a chance. But yeah, go check out Arbitrage. That sounds like an interesting film. I think I'll have to give it a look. But
it was on Netflix where I found it 9 months ago.
I'm sure it's probably still there.
Yeah.
Netflix is just pining for any kind of content at this point. But
did you hear about Amazon buying MGM?
yes,
They're about to get a whole bunch of Prime content, aren't they?
they're about to get a whole lot of content. It's not just about getting the content for Prime. It's also about
You don't think
it's
so?
also about getting the IPs to do original content. Because now that
Right.
the streaming services are pretty much run cable out of the business, it's all about
Okay.
it's all about having original content now to bring in the people who
I
are
hadn't
still
thought
holding
of
on to
that.
cable.
I just thought they wanted the library for streaming as Prime
That's part of
content,
it.
but you're
That's
right.
Part of it. That's part of it. Yes, that's one of the reasons why the Disney Marvel deal was a big deal. Why the Disney Lucasfilm
Gotcha.
deal was a big deal, because it's all about owning that content. But
Sorry about sidelining your pick
no,
there. I
it's
just
all
thought
right.
that was
What's the
interesting.
next movie you want to talk about there, Jeremy?
Well, I guess it's finally time to bring light to what the sign means. So, if you don't already know, if you know, you know. My next movie is Fanboys from 2007, I believe. Now, this is one of two of my movies that this is gonna hurt saying it, but I walked into a Kmart because those were a thing at one time, and that already hurts me. I went back to the movie section, and this was like it was just sitting there in one of those little front display cases, like right up front. And I looked at it and I'm like, what the hell? Like, I've done this a few times where I was like, I'll take a chance on it. Fuck it. It looks like Star Wars and I like Star Wars, so that's all I need to know. And it was fairly cheap. And I watched it and I was just like, oh my god, this is some funny shit. Like, if you're a Star Wars fan, like, it's definitely a movie you need to see. It's kind of it's a fun, goofy fucking comedy. It's about these friends that have been friends like since second grade. They're huge Star Wars fans, if that didn't give it away. And their plan and this is in like the late 90s. So episode 1 had not come out yet. All we've got is 4, 5, and 6, right? We got the OG Star Wars. And their plan is, boys said, hey, why don't we they're in Ohio, which is kind of cool. That's another reason why I like it, because it kind of obviously literally hits home for me. And they're like, why don't we just drive across the country to Skywalker Ranch? We'll break in and steal episode 1. And they're like, yeah, but that's never going to happen. We're all like 3-4 years removed from high school, and we're all kind of doing our own. We've all separated, and then what makes it kind of come to fruition is one of their friends ends up having cancer, and they're like, "Well, we should still do the trip. We got to do the trip for him, you know? Like, let's fucking do it. We've been talking about this since like 5th grade." And they get into fights with fucking other Star Trek nerds, because that's a thing. Led by Seth Rogen, which I think is absolutely hilarious. He plays like 3 characters, but he plays 2 Star Trek characters, and he plays not a bouncer, the pimp in the Vegas hotel. Because why not? It's their antics of getting across the country to go see this movie. And there's a lot of people in it. Like I said, we got Seth Rogen, and we actually had 2 OG Star Wars people. In this movie, we had Billy D. Williams, who plays the judge when they get arrested at one point. And rest in peace, Carrie Fisher. She played the doctor when the kid's name was Linus. He had a little, it was quite literally a falling out of the fucking van at one moment, and he had to go to the hospital. And she plays the doctor. That was such a great. I mean, I know it's after the fact, but it's such a great moment. Like when they're trying to bust out of the hospital, and he's like, "No, please, you're our only hope." And he fucking just gives her a kiss. He's like, "I love you," and she's like, "I know." I'm like, I'm gonna cry. Yeah, and I think we mentioned this before, and Frank, you said like this is one of those movies that like they showed to George Lucas or told him about it, and he fucking absolutely loved it. And it's like, hey, if you got praise from the big man himself, I mean, good on you.
Well, you know, to speak in George Lucas's favor for some of the mistakes he's made over the course of this franchise, he has never ever shown anything less than the utmost appreciation for the Star Wars community. It's like he understood very quickly that the reason Star Wars became what it became was because of nerds like you and me and all these other people that go and see these movies 6-7 times when they come out. So he very much understands the fanboy community, especially around his films. So, but yeah, I mean, so it makes sense to me when someone sends him the script for this film, Fanboys, and he goes, you know what? This is kind of a really cool love letter from one Star Wars fan, the people responsible for this movie, to all the fans out there. And they kind of wrote it, you know, around this story, which is kind of fun and cool. I mean, a little bit sad at one point. I mean, the basic gist of the story is they find out that one of their crew is dying of cancer, and they know episode 1's about to come out. They don't think he's going to live long enough to see it, so they decide to go from their fictional town in Ohio to Lucas's ranch in the North Bay of Central California to steal a copy so he can see it before he dies. And that right there, it's like, come on, some fun shit's got to happen on the way. I mean, you can't tell me this is going to be a serious movie. This is going to be all kinds of fun.
Yeah, because like I said, the other people that you run into are like William Shatner. You fucking run into Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah.
Like,
Danny Trejo.
I mean, come on.
The cast of
Danny
Trejo you run into along this crazy journey was just amazing. It's
literally the reason why. There's the reason why to this fucking day. After I showed my two of my best friends this movie, we still yell Chewie every time we try to fucking go out anywhere. We don't even yell shotgun. Same rules as shotgun. Either way, I always lose, as Windows said.
Yeah, somebody better get TSS2 in the chat. He said Han Solo was a bitch. Clearly, he doesn't understand.
Hey. You don't call Han Solo a bitch.
No one calls Han a bitch. You know how badly I've been like, every time I see Joe Rogan as the pimp character, all the tattoos he's got, I'm just like, I could totally get all those tattoos done. That'd be totally awesome. Have an entire, like, both sleeves and all Star Wars. I would do it.
Maybe not the big Jar Jar, but...
Yeah. Jar Jar's going to be the shit, I tell you.
Right.
Best character in Star Wars.
God damn it. I'll explain this real quick. I can explain this real quick for Cora. This is kind of one of the cool... This is why I put this up there, because it's one of the cool moments. Two lines that I really love in this movie. This is one of them. They're kind of having like that little down moment of, like I said, they got arrested. One of the guys, his dad said like, "You better come back home now, or I'm gonna fire you." And the whole point was like, yeah, he was gonna give his son the whole company, so he's kind of losing. It kind of looks bleak, so he's just sitting there. And Dan Fogler, who I absolutely love, is a fucking goofy ass dude, but he has played some serious shit like in The Walking Dead and Fantastic Beasts. I love him. He goes over and he tells him, you got to find your Death Star, man. And he's just like, all right, I'll bite. He's like, so the greatest thing Luke Skywalker ever did, right, was take down the Death Star. As far as I'm concerned, that's what everyone needs. You need that one badass thing to let you live on forever, you know? And that's what it means.
Find your Death Star. That was a really cool line. Very, very emotional moment.
Gotta find your Death Star.
A very emotional
I never
moment
even heard of this movie.
Oh, it's good. And if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan, you get it in a way. I mean, you can even if you're not like a big fanboy, like like Jeremy and I are about the franchise.
I
You can
am,
watch it, you
and my
can-
husband is as well. I don't know if he's heard of this, but I think I'm gonna look for it on our streaming services
You know what's
as
funny
something to watch.
is I borrowed this movie from a friend years ago because I thought it was interesting and I wanted to watch it. And then when I
Hmm.
gave it back to him, I was like, I need to have a copy of this myself. And I had to search for months to find a
Right.
copy of it somewhere. I ended up having to go on like eBay or some shit to buy a copy of it because I couldn't find it
Oh
anywhere.
wow!
And that's
I don't know if it was because it was
That's
like
what's funny. I found it at a
film
fucking
and
Kmart.
yeah, they didn't make a lot of them, or if it was because the film really was kind of in demand amongst the fanboys that this was a movie about them.
Yeah.
I don't really know what it is, but I finally found it, and it's one of the movies that I'm like, I will never ever get rid of this movie ever in my life because I have to have a physical copy.
Aww.
I'll leave you with my favorite line from the movie when him and the two best friends, one that ended up having cancer, and then his best friend, they have a little heart to heart, like right near the end of the movie, and he says, "You got to keep the flaws, the crappy effects, the real puppets. That's what makes it so great, you know." I said that about Star Wars because of that movie, and like that's just what makes it so great.
Also, Ray Park is in it. He's the security guard that busts them as they're in the prop room at,
Right.
at Lucas Valley Ranch.
You know what's fucking bad? I've never really seen it without the makeup, so but I am embarrassed to say that I've had that movie probably since 2007, and I just figured out within the last year. I'm like, wait a minute, that was Darth Maul, because he fucking pulls out the batons. He's like, it's time to get mauled, boy. I'm like, oh my god, why didn't I catch that? Holy shit! Holy shit! It just clicked out of nowhere for some reason. I'm like, oh, that's why he was doing the flippy shit. Oh, I started Maul, damn it.
Yeah, and then a lot in that scene where they're in the prop room, a lot of that stuff is actual props that George Lucas gave them access to.
I just read something that he gave them permission
So
to use the
cool.
Star Wars sounds.
Yeah, yeah,
Nice.
George Lucas loved this. Actually, if you watch the commentary, and I'm sure Jeremy probably has, I watched it a couple times. It actually says that George Lucas liked it so much that he's like, whatever you guys want access to do this, I'll let you do it. That's why I think the hat and the whip
cool.
from Indiana Jones that they have that's in there. I think that was an actual movie prop from one of the films. A couple of
Princess Leia's outfit.
A couple of the models that were used in the original filming of episode 4. I think those were in there.
Thermal detonator.
The thermal detonator was an actual prop. I think one of the Yoda puppets was an actual prop.
Nice.
Yeah, the one where in that one, and the training remote was in there too. The Falcon.
Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff that was actually part of making the original film that was in this film, and it's it's a love letter from fanboys to fanboys, and that's why it works.
I quote this movie so much. Like, I think just stupid. Like I said, we still say Chewie every time to this day. And I think we pulled down it was like a Yoda thing on like a top shelf of like a fucking store. And I was like, the Master Yoda! Like, I don't know. Stupid shit like that.
It's a carriage house. It's not a garage.
Swear to God, I'm gonna burn it's a carrot. Fuck! I watched it recently, and he was like, "You guys gotta stop perpetuating this myth that like Boba Fett's some kind of badass." I'm like, somebody hasn't seen the Mandalorian yet.
Yeah, well, that was way before the Mandalorian. Cut him some slack. That was way before the Mandalorian.
I know. I get the time period it was going for. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, but if you are a Star Wars fan, this movie is a must see. And again, there's so many cameos. It's like Jason Mewes and Kevin Smith are in it. Danny Trejo's in it.
Yes.
We mentioned the 3 Star Wars specific actors that show up in it. There's just so much. It's like Ethan Suplee's in it.
Shatner.
He plays William Shatner's in it. Ethan Suplee's in it. Just so many people, and it's like, and they're there because they're fans of this franchise. Yeah. I mean, I want to say that Ethan Suplee didn't get paid. I think he was just like, he was friends with one of the guys that was in on making the movie, and they talked about it. He's like, hey man, can I just come on there and like be on set for a while? And they're like, hey, you want to play the guy that started Ain't It Cool? I forget his name, Michael. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Anyway.
Oh, Ain't It Cool News?
Yeah, Ain't It Cool News. The guy that started the guy that founded that. So it was really a labor of love. It was a love note from fanboys to fanboys, and that's what made it so honest and great. But if you're fans of Star Wars, just go watch this stuff. It's just so good. And then of course you get to see her in the bikini, which doesn't hurt.
Not Kirsten Wiig, fucking Yeah, her.
Yeah, her. You know what I'm talking about. But
I know who you're talking. Kristen Bell. Kristen Bell.
That's right. Now,
yeah,
it's my turn to give you another movie. And I'm going to go old school mob movie on this one. Not so old school because the movie itself isn't very old, but it is definitely filmed in kind of an old style. It's certainly set in the way back, and that's Miller's Crossing. A lot of people call this a spiritual successor or a spiritual sequel of The Godfather because it is kind of that. It's kind of a cerebral look at things. Now, it's got Gabriel Byrne plays Tom Reagan. We've mentioned Gabriel Byrne in a couple movies already. He's kind of the right-hand man.
Fantastic actor.
Yeah, he is. He's very, very good. He's kind of the right-hand man and the chief advisor to a mob boss played by Albert Finney. And
dude, I haven't seen this. I want to see this.
Yeah, there's trouble brewing between Leo and other mob bosses over some of the activities that are going on in the area. Let's see. It's also got John Turturro in it, John Polito, a couple of really good actors. Marcia Gay Harden's in it. Tom has a secret relationship with Leo's girlfriend, which of course is going to complicate things, who happens to be the sister of another mobster because, love triangles and stuff like that kind of permeate every movie. And ultimately, he kind of finds himself stuck between several deadly, unforgiving parties. Again, this has been called kind of a spiritual sequel of sorts to The Godfather.
It has Steve Buscemi in it. Awesome.
Yeah. Because it is, again, it's not like Goodfellas and stuff like that, where they're a little more actiony and not so much the philosophy of it all. But it is very much like The Godfather, as it does kind of concentrate on the effect that living this life has on a couple of people in the story. And then, of course, there is this iconic scene out in the woods that you see, right here on the movie poster of John Turturro's character begging for his life, because that's one of the things that Tom Reagan, played Gabriel Byrne's character, does in the movie, is he does the dirty work for the guy that he works for. So, and that scene alone is a very, very emotional scene. It's just a beautifully shot movie that, again, it kind of takes the lifestyle of the gangster from back in the day and gives it to you in a much more honest setting. And this is one of the movies that, like, gangsters from that era watched it, and they said this was a lot closer than other things that you see that kind of glorify it all and make it more of a movie thing that you can show and excite people about it. He said this is a lot more what it was like. This and The Godfather, movies that have been said, are much more what it's like to be an actual gangster back in the day. So, Cora, have you seen this movie? What are some of your thoughts?
I haven't, and I haven't seen The Godfather either. So maybe I should watch these back to back.
Again, it's a spiritual sequel. It's not a direct sequel, but it is very much shot. It is shot very much kind of in the same tone. So,
okay.
So
kind of in the same genre wheelhouse, but not necessarily related in any way plot-wise.
Well, and the Coen brothers have a weird artistic style of the way they make their films anyway. And this is a Coen brothers movie. They do have their own kind of odd style that I think very closely matches the kind of thing that we got from.
Can I ask you a good question?
Go ahead.
Why on Internet Movie Database would it say uncredited after their names in writing and director?
I don't know. Probably because
isn't that weird that they wouldn't be credited?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There's sometimes people want their names pulled off of things for various reasons. You'd have to do some digging to find out exactly why. But I mean, sometimes people don't want credit. You'd be surprised how many times people have wanted to go uncredited for one reason or another. I mean, I think we talked about it with was it Hannibal? How?
You're right.
The guy, the guy that played Mason Verger, Gary Oldman, he didn't want to have his name in the credits of the film because he wanted to have the mystery of the character. So there, it was kind of an artistic thing, but yeah, I mean, very, very. Okay. There's a multitude
I'm definitely gonna watch this for Gabriel Byrne alone, but yeah, this sounds like a great movie. And
Gabriel Byrne plays a good mobster in this movie. He is. I mean, because everything that I've read about, how mobsters lived back in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, it was not all car chases and shootouts and, the Valentine's Day Massacre and stuff like that. A lot of it really was, the day-to-day life was kind of tedious. Now, when things would pop off and gunfire would start, obviously, things would get a little different. But I've always read that for the most part, it was kind of like working a regular job most days. That, you just did what you did because that was how you were making your money. Jeremy, have you ever gotten a chance to watch this movie?
Not, but I mean, shit. I love The Godfather, so if this is something, like you said, in the same vein. I mean, I'd watch it because I don't. I mean, yeah, sure, guns, car chases, and shit, shootouts and shit are cool, but sometimes, I mean, like maybe it's just me getting. I'm gonna say older, whatever. I'm getting more into like the watching the philosophy behind things, or watching the more. Uh, I guess that's really the word for it. Like seeing that is kind of like, oh shit. When you realize like, oh, what's this? This is what was going on, and this is what was how it all ran. Not necessarily. This is. Uh, I guess it's that what's shit. It's not about proper action and shit. So hot fuzz.
Hot
Hot
fuzz.
fuzz. I got it. My brain took a second. Yeah. Car chases, proper action and shit. It's not all about that, yeah. So
Yeah,
that sounds cool.
it's a very good movie. As a matter of fact, a lot of people compare this movie to Road to Perdition, which was one that was very, very popular with Tom Hanks,
Oh, that
where
was
he
great.
plays kind of a similar character to Gabriel Byrne. But I mean, actually, I think some people have referred to Road to Perdition as kind of a. Some people have referred to it as a straight up sequel to this movie, even though it wasn't. They don't have anything to do with one another. But Tom Hanks plays a similar character, and in that movie, in and of itself, is very, very good as well. That character it happens a little bit differently. His son actually witnesses one of the things that happens, unfortunately, and then it becomes Tom Hanks, who was an enforcer of sorts for the mob, trying to protect his young son from the mob, who thinks that they can't let them live because obviously he's seen some things and some stuff, and they don't want the word to get out, and so on and so on. But yeah, definitely go check out Miller's Crossing. It's again, it's another great mob movie that is very cerebral, very thought provoking, and there is enough shooting in it that if that's your thing, it'll keep you interested from one moment to the next. But Lady Cora, what is the next movie you'd like to talk about tonight?
The next movie is Morning Glory. It's a rom-com drama that came out in 2010. Harrison Ford is in it, Diane Keaton, but the main star is Rachel McAdams. She plays an up-and-coming producer for morning talk shows out of New York, and she moves to a new show. She's actually hired by Jeff Goldblum. He plays the guy who hires her at the new network, and basically she gets full control of the morning show. She fires one of the hosts, and she's like, well, I have to put someone new, and they're like, well, you don't have any money, so you have to find who we have contracted. Well, Harrison Ford was the primetime news guy, like Peter Jennings type guy, and he was off the air at this point but still on contract. So she brings him in and makes him go on the morning show and against Diane Keaton as the co-host, and it shows you the behind the scenes of what like Good Morning America might look like. It's cute and funny. There is a romantic angle between her and Rachel McAdams' character and why am I blanking on his name? Patrick Wilson. Anyways, it's cute. Harrison Ford did this movie after Crystal Skull and before the Cowboys versus Alien. And so it's kind of like in a lull. He did really great in this, Harrison Ford, but a lot of people didn't really like this movie. It's 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. The budget was $40 million. The box office was $60 million. Critics were maybe a little harsh on it, saying it wasn't very interesting on the end of the news side of things or showing how shows work, but it's really more about the romantic comedy and then the dynamic of her, the main character, stepping into her job, and Harrison Ford and Diane Keaton's characters duking it out over being the star host of the show. I thought it was fantastic. I watch this movie at least once a year. Maybe it's a girl thing, maybe it's a cute thing, but really funny. I liked it. And even the guy, what's his name? The guy who plays the nerdy guy on Modern Family who's married to Claire. I forget what his name is, but that guy is the guy that was the host that was fired. And he plays this complete douchebag who's obsessed with women's feet. And it's hilarious to see this creepo character who's so wonderful in his other role on Modern Family. Play this guy who's obsessed with women's feet and is a total douche. It's just very funny.
Hey, people
And
pay for that shit, all right?
Clearly. So Harrison Ford's character in this has a complete character arc. He starts out as this, like, I'm a serious newsman, I can't do a morning show, to, owning it and appreciating it and enjoying it. And the characters all bond and work together in different ways. And cute movie. A lot of people didn't like it. I loved it. I also think Rachel McAdams is just fun and bubbly and sweet and fun to watch in anything she's in. So yeah, I think a lot of people, even if they know about it, they think it's probably pretty stupid, but actually it's a pretty decent movie. So there you go, Morning Glory.
Jeremy,
and the soundtrack is phenomenal.
Jeremy, what do you think?
I think I'm going to be disappointed to see Harrison Ford as a news anchor not turn into a werewolf or a fucking what the fuck was that? You know what I'm talking about. No, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe Cora says maybe it's a girl thing. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a bad movie though. I totally see Harrison Ford being like that serious gruff, like fuck, I got this serious role. I'm almost gonna do a Harrison Ford impression. I can't do it like Mark Hamill does it, but yeah, and then suddenly he's like, oh, this is not so bad. Yeah.
Well, he's played the president more than once. I figure he could probably play kind of a straight-laced news anchor.
And Jeff Goldblum has a great supporting role in this. He pops in at least 5-10 times, and he's hilarious as he is in everything
anything with
he
Jeff
does.
Goldblum.
Yeah.
I would watch 2 hours of Jeff Goldblum sitting in the toilet reading the sports section. He doesn't have to speak. He's just sitting there.
I would still watch it.
But he is good in it.
Yeah, I remember seeing this movie. I think about the time it came out.
I mean,
it was funny, but I'm not into the whole rom-com thing very often.
That's okay.
To me, rom-coms, if they're not done just right, they kind of lose me. I remember some funny one-liners, and I mean, Diane Keaton's like one of the greats. Harrison Ford is, he's a Hall of Famer. Yeah, and Diane Keaton to an extent.
Jeff Goldblum.
Hall of Famer. And Jeff Goldblum. Whatever. And Rachel McAdams, this is as she was starting to hit her popularity as well. She had done a few things up to this point. I mean, her star was definitely still on the rise when this came up, and she's been going strong for a long time. But I don't know, I like it's got.
If you want to watch a rom-com, check it out. It's cute, and if you want to see Harrison Ford in a witty, funny way, this is it. So
because he can be very witty and funny, his comedic timing is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of bummed that he hasn't done more comedy over the course of his career, but
he's busy playing golf and tennis.
And flying airplanes and stuff like that. That happened once.
Into the ground.
That happened once.
David lost a fight with a door too on Star Wars.
Is he doing anything? I'm looking at his IMDb. It says he's
Harrison Ford
not really doing anything.
He's getting ready to film Indiana Jones 5.
He did that Call of the Wild. Yeah.
Well, but I didn't know he was in The Secret Life of Pets too. This is what I get for not watching kid movies.
Well, when you get to be 112 years old, you can't do much more than voiceover stuff. You know what I mean? I would imagine that as much as he likes to do his own stunts, I mean, the guy's 90 for Christ's sake. He's probably not going to be doing a lot of his own stunts.
Indy 5's going to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, David? Glad you could stop in, man. What's going on?
I know. I appreciate it.
Yeah, but that is Morning Glory. Jeremy, did I get to you? Did you say anything about this movie? You did, didn't you? Go check out Morning Glory.
I did.
It's like I said. I think I remember seeing it once. It was fun. Some of the lines were cool, but again, rom-coms to me, if they're not done in a very specific way, I don't gravitate back to them. You know what I mean? Go check out Morning Glory. Jeremy, what's the next film you'd like to talk about tonight?
All right, the next. God, we're doing this again. Early 2000s. This is 2009, and I was wrong. Fanboys was also 2009. I don't know why I was thinking 2007. Don't listen to me. But same year, my next movie is Push. We were talking about Rotten Tomato scores. I'm like, this one actually has a lower one. It's like a fucking 23%. 6 out of 10 on IMDb. But fuck critics. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck what they say. This is it stars this little tiny actor by the name of Chris Evans. He's whatever. He's so you got like fucking pre Captain America, I think. Yeah, probably.
Oh yeah.
And it's superheroes in a way. It's kind of one of those like grounded in. If this was grounded in reality, I guess people have these abilities. This is kind of what happened. It's a sci-fi action-y kind of movie. Chris Evans plays this guy Nick. His dad was murdered when he was a kid. And this is one of those like there was the first generation, I guess first, but like there was the generation of these people that were at the peak of like their powers, and these are like their kids now. So like I said, Chris Evans plays the kid. Now he's grown up, and there's this organization called the Division, which are out there trying to like experiment on these people. And it's kind of like I try to see it from their way. I'm like, well, maybe they're trying to either enhance these people's powers or try to learn more about them. But it's like, yeah, the way you're ethically going about this is probably not a good thing. So, slippery slope.
I never heard
Yeah,
of
so
it.
you got. Yeah, it's not a bad movie. I don't think so.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm surprised I hadn't heard of it.
Oh, no.
Usually.
Yeah.
Oh, it has.
No,
I'm going to
fair.
say its name wrong.
Yep.
Jimin.
I was about to say Jaimin Hansu, because I was going to say that because. Yes, I was going to say, and there's that guy again that I tried to say his damn name because this is the movie I mentioned.
I said it wrong for you. I said it wrong for you.
I think Jeremy.
I know. Yeah, he's one of the guys I wouldn't want to piss off. Like I said, I've seen him in like Blood Diamond, I've seen him in this, and obviously the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just forgive me, man. I don't know how to say your fucking name for real, but I love your movies. Yeah, he plays the main bad guy who ironically enough has one of the. Yeah, he's that guy. It's that fucking. He has powers too, which are the actual push powers, I guess. There are pushers who like they can make anything.
Wow, Roger Ebert even said this had vibrant cinematography and decent acting.
Yeah, the effects aren't bad. Like it's,
cool.
And it's this kind of like underground on the run thing from him. Like I said, he plays a pusher who can put anything into your mind to make it the truth, which is kind of scary. All you gotta do is look you in the eye. You got like Chris Evans' character who has like. Which is funny because it's called Push. You think he has the push powers because he's got like telekinesis, like force powers and shit, but that's not what it's called. It's called like a mover. You got what's her face, Dakota Fanning, who her mom was like one of the great psychics, and like they can see into the immediate future based off the decisions you're about to make. So they team up to try and they're trying to find this suitcase, that's the whole cataclysm of this thing. They're trying to find whatever's in this suitcase that the Division is also after, but they're trying to keep out of everyone's hands. You got Camilla Bell, who is one of the pushers as well. I think her mom... No, it was Dakota Fanning's mom that was in there, not her. She was being experimented on, and she actually escaped. That was the whole thing. It's kind of like, hey, this is a loose end. We need to get her back, because, she's got, like, insane powers. You got bleeders who, like, supersonic scream, make your head fucking almost explode, and they bleed out your ears. You got people that can... mend your body, and you got people who can erase your memory any certain amount of time you want, depending on how much you pay them. It's a wild movie. I like it.
So I'm guessing you haven't seen this one yet, Cora?
I have not, but I'm gonna put it on my list.
This was one of the movies that was kind of an important step to what we would eventually get with like Marvel and DC, because superhero, and I consider this kind of a superhero movie. The superhero movies were kind of fledgling along for a while without a whole lot of great direction. They were great individual movies, but there was still a lot of people who were kind of like burned out on them. They not really had one that worked really well since, God, probably the last Tim Burton Batman movie. I mean,
Spider-Man.
Well, Spider-Man came out before these, but this was kind of an important step in the evolution of this kind of movie to what we would eventually get. Because, I mean, was it this year or the next year that Iron Man came out?
2008, actually. So it was right after.
Okay, so...
It was 2009. That was... Yeah, it had Captain America really, so that's what I'm saying. This is pre
Well, I'm
pre
not even sure
Captain
they had
America.
cast him as Captain America at this point. So
No,
yeah, I mean,
probably
probably.
not. I mean, shit. Was he when was Fantastic Four? Was it like 2004?
Oh, I don't
It's even
remember.
before that, right? He was fucking
Long time ago.
Johnny Storm. Yeah. Yeah, right. Too goddamn long now.
Yeah, too goddamn long now. But yeah, this movie was an important step in getting to what we'd eventually get with Marvel and DC today. The kind of comic book movies we're getting. I thought the movie was kind of interesting. It was an interesting concept. Uh,
Yeah.
the film was a bit all over the place for me, as I recall. I think I've seen it a couple times. It was kind of all over. I don't think it was necessarily the actors' faults. I just think the directing maybe wasn't quite there. I don't know who directed this film. It was Paul McGuigan. I can't think off the top of my head anything else he's done. But
I haven't
I
either.
don't know.
yeah, it was an interesting enough film. I mean, some of them are clairvoyant, some of them have telekinesis, some of them can do whatever, like Jeremy was saying. It did seem kind of like a different take on mutants at some point.
Oh,
Yeah.
Basically, they're all kind
Yeah,
of,
yeah.
they're all kind of working for some agency, and the whole point of them going through the movie is to try to get out from underneath this agency, so they can just kind of go, live their lives. So I don't have a problem with the story or anything. It was just kind of the direction was all over for me. I feel like they tightened it up just a little bit before they actually started to film anything. Yeah, but I have no problem with the cast. I mean, Jumon Hansu is awesome. Chris Evans is Captain America. Dakota Fanning's made quite a career for herself. Camilla Bell, same thing. It's a very interesting concept. It was kind of like the movie Jumper.
I love
You know
the
what I
movie
mean?
Jumper.
Yeah.
It was kind
A
of
great
a really
deal.
out there concept, and but it was very, very stylistic. They kind of relied on just the craziness of being able to do this more than kind of creating a really, really good story for all the characters. But yeah, it's.
I think I saw that movie. I think I saw that movie too. I saw that movie too, and I was like, "This feels exactly like Push." There's these people that have abilities, and there's this fucking
Well, then I'm definitely watching it.
shady little company that wants to fucking come after him. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
worth a watch.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad movie. I suggest you guys go check it out. But I'll move on to my next movie now. What do I throw out there next? I've only got two left. I'll save that one for the end. I'm gonna go to the sci-fi horror route for this one. I've never understood how this movie does not get more attention. It's called Event Horizon. Now, the basic premise of the story is there's this ship out there called the Event Horizon, which is one of the first ships that was built to travel faster than the speed of light, or light speed, whatever. They explain in the movie that it doesn't exactly travel light speed, it actually does something else, but it travels very, very fast. And it's the first ship that humans built that was able to do that. Now, the ship goes off on its maiden voyage and never comes back again. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, this ship just reappears after a certain amount of time. I forget how long it was. So they send Sam Neill's character out there on a ship that is captained by why am I drawing a blank on his name? Morpheus.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence
Thank you.
Fishburne.
They send him out. He's a scientist. They send him out on the ship that is captained by Lawrence Fishburne to go get on this ship and find out exactly why this ship came back such a great time later with absolutely no crew to be seen. Apparently, this ship just kind of somehow lightspeed jumped its way back to Earth, and people are trying to figure out exactly what happened. This is where the horror element kicks in. There's apparently the devil or some kind of great evil that is occupying this ship and really screws with people when you get too close or try to do whatever the hell it is they don't want you to do. Look, it's got a take of like a bit of a B-rate movie, but the acting is superb. The special effects are off the friggin' charts good. And it really is a good old-fashioned sci-fi horror that's got just the right amount of gore, the right amount of jump scares. It's all perfectly timed. And I never, for the life of me, I never understood why this movie doesn't get more love. Now I hear people like Nightwatch talk about it over on his channel, and it gets a lot of love from the horror fans. But other film fans don't talk about this movie enough. I think it was very, very well done. It's the perfect balance of sci-fi and horror to me. And it's loaded with a bunch of people who just act the shit out of this movie. And there's some crazy shit that happens along the way that just blows your mind. Guys, the guy that gets shot out the airlock and somehow brought back in and doesn't die. I don't know how the hell that works. I've never been caught out in space with no spacesuit, but whatever. It was just a perfect balance of a lot of different things for me. And the ending was one that I thought most people, and I think even me to an extent, would kind of look at the ending and be like, not really the ending that I wanted. But at the same time, as soon as you see the ending, you're like, holy shit, that all fits. But it's a very, very strange ending. And then, of course, you see some good guy, one good guy kind of go bad because he kind of gets absorbed by all this stuff. Not because he's a bad person. He wants to learn about all this crazy shit going on. And part of learning about the crazy shit going on is kind of becoming one with the evil. So it's just a really, really good movie. A perfect balance of sci-fi and horror. Because usually, one of the things that I find when I watch sci-fi horrors is they tend to lean too much one way and not the other. This was a much better balance. I always think it's like I've always thought Aliens. Well, it's always been classified as a sci-fi horror. Was much more sci-fi than it was horror. I don't have a problem with it. I love the films, of course, but it definitely leans harder one way. This one's got a very good balance of both. So if you like horror movies, you're going to watch this and love the horror aspect. But if you like sci-fi movies, you're going to watch this and you're going to appreciate the horror. But it's still sci-fi enough to where it feels like a solid sci-fi movie as well. A fantastic movie. Like I said. Nightwatch has talked about it a couple of times on his channel, and I think it's one that if you're into, it's a bit of an actiony piece too. So if you just want a straight up action movie, it's a good movie to watch. Cora, I know you're not a big fan of the horror stuff, but have you ever heard of this movie at all?
I have heard of it, and it's been one of those movies where I always mean to watch it, but I never do. So I'm right now adding it to my playlist of movies or watch list, whatever you want to call it. I'm a big fan of Lawrence Fishburne, Sam Neill especially. Jolie Richardson, she's fantastic. Jason Isaacs, he's a supporting character in so many movies. I really want to see this movie. I might actually watch it tonight. So thank you for reminding me about it.
And Sam Neill does some great character work in this movie. He's a great actor already. But he does some fantastic character work in this movie. Just really
nice.
Displaying what this character is all about and getting lost in it is fantastic. What's up, Really Mysterious? I was wondering where the hell you were. Glad you're here, buddy. Good to see you here. Jeremy, I'm pretty sure me and you have talked about this film before. You've seen it, right?
I have not. I'm pretty sure we have talked about it because you said it, and I was like, I feel like we have had discussions about this. Yeah, that sounds awesome because you said sci-fi horror. My mind clicks right to Alien. But actually to say, hey, the gamer me came out, and I was like, actually, if you want to play something along that line that is more horror, play Alien Isolation if you want to shit your fucking pants because that shit is fucking terrifying. That's a horror game straight up. You hear that fucker just crawling around the fence and comes down in your face, and oh my god, fuck that. Yeah, I don't know. I can't go wrong with Sam Neill and Lawrence Fishburne. Shit, you got The Matrix and Jurassic Park, two things I fucking love. I'll try to look past that, but yeah, it sounds pretty fucking interesting. I don't know. This reminds me of something that I really liked. There was a game, like an old ass Lego game, where the same thing happened. There's a ship that goes through this fucking wormhole, and it's like not like time travels per se, but like gets sucked in and spit out somewhere else on the other side of some other fucking galaxy somewhere, and I'm like, that's the premise, holy shit. And it's like you trying to get your way back home. But I always thought that was a cool concept. So.
Yeah, for the life of me, I don't know why this thing's rocking like a 29 on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't understand it at all. And for one, it comes from Paul W.S. Anderson, who has made some absolutely phenomenal films. He's given us, let's see, more recently, let me get to my list real quick. He's given us all the Resident Evil movies. He's actually the husband of Mia Jovovich, and the Resident Evil movies were kind of a passion project.
Lucky bastard.
Yeah. Most recently, he gave us Monster Hunter. He's also given us a version of the Three Musketeers, the Alien vs. Predator movie, the first Mortal Kombat movie. He gave us a Death Race movie, which was fun.
Right.
And I do believe he also gave us one of the movies that I talked about recently. And was that him or somebody else that gave us Boogie Nights? I think that might have been somebody else that I'm thinking. But yeah, that's not saying. But yeah, the guys just put out so many great movies. I know that we did our whole video game movie talk a while back, but I still think to this day that the Mortal Kombat movies are probably the most successful and probably more like any other video game movies that have come out, because him and Mia Jovovich's wife, they were definitely passion projects for these guys, for them. So I feel like she's a gamer. I think she is. I think I've read.
I feel like she is. Because now that you've been in Resident Evil and now Monster Hunter, I'm pretty sure she's at least somewhat of a gamer, and I fucking appreciate the shit out of it. Love it.
Yeah, really mysterious in the chat gives us his favorite underrated movies. Falling Down. I don't think that movie's underrated at all. I think that movie's a classic. The Last Castle. Yeah, I would put that as underrated. I think it's a really, really good movie. Sleeper with
Bad News Bears.
Yeah, Harry and Tonto with Art Carney. Well, it goes way to the Wayback Machine for that one. Bad News Bears, the original Bad News Bears with Walter Matthau, a classic. Christmas Carol with George C. Scott. Yeah, that one's kind of gotten forgotten over the last several years. I think a lot of George C. Scott stuff, he kind of gets lost. Whenever you say George C. Scott, you kind of get lost in Patton and a couple other things. I think you forget that the Christmas Carol with him was actually really good. And Cactus
Did you
Flower
see
with
TSS's movies?
No, I did not. I was just actually getting to the chat. TSS.
No, but I saw.
Go ahead.
Oh no, no, but I saw Really Mysterious and it looked extra delicious tonight. But all right, thanks. Rachel's over here fucking dying.
You're extra delicious every night.
Thanks.
But TSS.
I know. I will never forget. Good. I'll say it after.
TSS2 in the chat says, movies he thinks are underrated or Snowpiercer. I've never gotten around to seeing that. For some reason, it just hasn't gotten me. None of the marketing, the look of it, I don't know. I've heard it's a kind of a weird movie. I don't know.
It's based on this graphic comic book that I read the whole plot synopsis. It's kind of fucked up, but cool too.
It's definitely out there.
Like dark and fast-paced kind of thing. The TV series, I haven't watched it, but I don't know. Maybe I'll just watch the movie instead.
Yeah, but he also says Glory is a good movie, Glory. I don't think that's underrated at all. I think that's a classic. The Secret of NIMH is one
great movie.
The Secret of NIMH is one that's been forgotten for a long time. I haven't seen that movie in years.
Love that movie.
I remember loving that when I was a kid. The chat moved up on me. Let me go see it again. What do you say?
Looper sounds familiar, but I can't place it. I'm going to look it up.
That's that one with Bruce Willis where he does that weird time travel bullshit. He has
to he has to kill himself or something. It's really, really weird. But
kill his younger self or some shit.
Equilibrium, that's not a bad movie.
It's Christian Bale, right? That's a wild movie.
I remember seeing a couple. It was kind of like I think it was kind of like they were trying to remake another version of The Matrix, but not be so obvious on the nose about it. I thought it was an entertaining movie a couple times I saw it.
Yeah, but
Phone Booth is one that is really interesting. That movie was actually due for wide release, but because of its subject matter, it's about a sniper who is trying to get these people to acknowledge the wrongs that they've made in their life. The movie was actually set to release right after the whole Beltway sniper thing had started. And because of all that stuff that was going on, they decided not to release it, and then eventually just went ahead and released it to home video, and it never got a theatrical release. But that is actually a very, very good movie. It's Kiefer Sutherland and why did I almost say Jude Law? It's a really interesting movie. Very, very intense. And it's this guy who's kind of a douchebag. He's cheating on his wife with like the local barista, and this sniper played by Kiefer Sutherland is going around and like he's getting people in these shitty situations and telling them if you don't admit to all the wrong you've done in life for whatever reason, I'm going to put a bullet in you. And it's just crazy. It's a really crazy movie you guys have to see. But yeah,
Willa Strong also mentioned a movie called City of God. And then also where was he asked if you had seen this one, Come and See. It's a 1985 Russian war movie. He says it's absolutely stunning and he would love to hear your take on it. And then Van Edwards, said something about the 1977 made-for-TV film Spectre with Robert Culp and Gig Young.
I know Robert Culp. I don't know if I've ever seen the movie. I have not seen Come and See, 1985.
So
I'll just look into that one. I'll look at the trailer later on. It looks interesting, though.
Mm-hmm.
It's World War II.
Yeah.
Belarusian boy thrust in the atrocities of war, fighting with a hopelessly under-equipped Soviet resistance movement against the ruthless German forces. Sounds interesting. I love anything World War II. I'll give that a go.
Agreed.
When I can get around to it. But we are getting to the point now where more and more movies are coming out, and I need to start doing some more reviews for newer stuff as I can find the time. But yeah, go see Event Horizon. Bottom line, go see it.
I will.
It's
I might even watch it tonight.
It's a pretty kick-ass movie. You might want to watch it during the day. It's
Okay.
If you're not a big fan of horror movies, watching it late
I'm not.
at night might not be the best thing. I mean, it's never bothered me to watch horror movies at night because
So we
See,
set up
Yeah.
so we set up a giant tent in our backyard for outdoor living space that we can stay away from the bugs and control. Anyways, we put a TV in there. We just put our chairs in there. So this would not be a good movie for me to watch by myself in the tent at night.
Probably not. Not if you not if you're not a big fan of horror movies and you're not used to seeing the blood and the guts. And like I said, there's a very psychological aspect of this film that it kind of it is meshed in very well with the effects and with the sci-fi and with the acting.
Cool.
But there is something deeply psychological about this. It scares you at another level.
Van Jones.
I'll watch it and then go. I'll go right to the bed.
Van Edwards gave his underrated picks. He said Harlem Nights, Race with the Devil, the original Gone in 60 Seconds, which I didn't know there was an original till just now.
I didn't either.
Copland, great movie, and Manhunter.
Manhunter's a good one. We were talking about that. We talked about that recently. It's the first movie with Hannibal Lecter, and no, it was not Anthony Hopkins that played Hannibal Lecter. But Harlem Nights is another great one. I think we talked about that a few months ago. We were talking about our black comedians and stuff like that. Yeah, another great movie. But yeah, all great movies. You should definitely go check those out. Thank you, Van, for letting us know. And go see Event Horizon.
I'm
Cora,
going to.
You have one movie left you want to talk about. What might that be?
I do. It's called We Own the Night from 2007. And it was written and directed by James Gray, who the name doesn't sound familiar, but he also wrote and directed Little Odessa, The Yards, We Own the Night, of course, the one we're speaking of. And then he also did Ad Astra, The Lost City of Oz. He has a pattern of writing and directing projects he does. It seems to be his jam of like doing both jobs. Anyways, We Own the Night stars Joaquin Phoenix, Mark Wahlberg, Eva Mendes. It also has Robert Duvall as the father figure. It's set in the late 80s, so I love that because, it portrays a time period that I remember growing up in. The short version is Joaquin Phoenix is the one kid in the family who kind of strayed from, becoming a cop like their dad, Robert Duvall. He's running a nightclub, goes by his mom's maiden name. Nobody where he works knows he's related to cops. And it's where their worlds mesh. His one brother, who is a cop, comes to the club and, trying to arrest somebody. And their father ends up dead, saving, Joaquin Phoenix's character's life. And then he now wants to help the cops. Eva Mendes plays his girlfriend at the time. And it's just, 80s New York City cop mafia war kind of movie with the family in the middle and how the family dynamic works. And Robert Duvall in this movie is fucking phenomenal. He's good in everything, let's just be honest. But this movie particularly poignant to me because you see the two brothers who love each other but have two very different lifestyles, and how, one's life completely changes, because he chooses his family over his lifestyle. The costuming's great. The scenes look so realistic. Joaquin Phoenix is fantastic as usual. Mark Wahlberg's hot, so I like watching him in anything he's in.
Marky Mark.
This movie... I won't call him that.
That's what she was thinking of.
So
I'll call him that till the fucking day dies, and I'll still do it.
Fair enough. And this had a budget of only $21 million. The box office was 55. Rotten Tomatoes only gives it 57%. I think it's a very good movie. I don't know. It didn't seem to be appreciated by the critics. We know that means it's probably usually good. Anyways, I like this movie. Love it. If you ever see it on cable, you're better off just watching on DVD because I hate how they edit things. But great movie. can't say enough about the cast, and it pulls you in and takes you into what, life in the 80s was like, and you get to see what this family goes through as they navigate this weird time in their jobs. So there you go. We Own the Night.
What do you think, Jeremy? Have you ever seen this movie?
I have not seen this movie, but damn, you tell me Joaquin Phoenix and Marky Mark is in this shit, and Robert Duvall, shit, I'm sold.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a nice, like I said, that's a weird dynamic of like, you're trying to not be attached to certain, but your own thing, and then excuse me, you get your dynamic with your brother and shit. Just that does actually sound really interesting. I don't doubt Joaquin Phoenix or even Mark Wahlberg at all, man. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is before Joaquin Phoenix went a little weird.
Yeah.
Not that he's not a killer actor, but this is before he went a little weird.
Oh, yeah.
Retired, then unretired, and came back and played Joker. But yeah,
it's phenomenal.
There is something really cool about these movies that put two family members on opposite sides of the law. So there's that aspect. It is this cool like cop drama, and cop dramas are just, they're great to watch. You do find yourself inadvertently getting really, really wrapped up in them, whether you want to or not. And then, Robert Duvall, whatever. He's the he's Hall of Famer. Whatever. He's been in so many good movies. Look at that post right now.
I was going to say, whatever.
One of the credited producers is Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. I didn't even know he was into movies.
Oh.
But then again, the guy's got so much money, he's probably into a little bit of everything. But yeah, it really was a great movie. This was kind of a early version of like The Departed, but not as many people get shot in the head. It's like,
I like this better.
I like
Mark was in that one, so
yeah. This movie was much more gritty and grounded. I thought The Departed was always a little too stylized, a little too Hollywood.
Yeah.
I always thought this was much grittier and much more street level. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like that of if you put the two movies side by side and said which one of these do you think actually could happen in real life, that this would be the one. It's like I could see this being a real thing. But I don't know. You guys go see it and find out. Really Mysterious. He's obviously a fan of it. He says that. What did he say? He said that Eva Mendes has the second best ass in Hollywood, second only to Salma Hayek.
What about Betty White?
I don't know about that one.
I would put her above Salma Hayek.
I had to think about that one.
I had to think on that one for a minute. Look,
yeah.
We're comparing asses here. I mean, come on, that's a whole other show. But yeah, it's again, if you're, it is kind of a, it is a bit of that mob movie feel, but from a way different angle. I mean, and you do kind of get this. I mean, at first, that's how you're introduced to the Michael Corleone character, because he is kind of this squeaky clean man, the straight up kid who just happens to be in this mob family. So he comes back from war and he has no aspirations to be a part of the family, stuff like that, but gets sucked into it. You do see it. You do kind of see what would have happened had he become a cop and had to deal with his father or with his brother Sonny, as a law enforcement individual, much like you see Joaquin Phoenix and Mark Wahlberg go head to head in this. But it does play a lot on that duality. I mean, you see it right there on the poster: two brothers on opposite sides of the law. Beyond their differences lie loyalty, and it is that weird dichotomy of choosing between, both things being right. How do you choose between them? You know what I mean? I like when characters are put in that kind of a situation, because you really get characters that they have to be good for that to work, or else it just looks ridiculous. You know what I mean?
Yep, I do.
But yeah, a fantastic movie. Jeremy, do you have anything to say about this movie before we move on?
No, but that does, like you said, it does sound like a worthwhile watch.
Your wife, wonderful Jen, wrote in the chat, her underrated picks were Doom, What Lies Beneath, SWAT, and Hope Floats. I'm with you on Hope Floats. Fantastic movie. Harry Connick Jr. is one of the sexiest men in the world.
Yeah, Doom is,
and he actually acts in this movie.
Yeah, Doom is a bit of a guilty pleasure movie of mine. As bad as it is of a video game movie, it is kind of fun to watch.
It's bad.
It is kind of. Oh yeah, it's bad, but it's still kind of fun to watch.
It's bad.
Sabrina added the movie Buried as well to the list.
I love that movie. That's a damn good movie.
I don't know if I ever got around to seeing that.
It's worth it, dude. It's very.
I'm not
I
sure if I've
remember
even
it
heard
coming
of it.
out, and I just think I just got pulled away. Didn't get a chance to go see it, but whatever. I don't know.
It's. I mean, dude, it's
Oh,
Ryan Reynolds. It's very claustrophobic,
that's why
man.
it's
Like you're stuck in a
familiar.
fucking. You're in that coffin with him, dude. It's fucking just coming up. That fucking sand's coming up on him and shit. It's tense.
I don't get
Oh,
claustrophobic
wow.
until
And
I
that
think
fucking
of the,
gut punch of it too.
I don't get claustrophobic until I actually think of the idea of being in a position that he finds himself in that movie. Then I'm like,
Oh yeah, it gets a little hairy. Like I wouldn't want to be in that situation either. Like I said, that fucking ending was just like, oh shit, no, god damn it. Like I think I came across the tail end of that movie, and then I went back to because I was like, well, what the fuck was that? What happened? And I went back and watched it again. It still gut punched me at the end. Seeing the whole thing, I was like, God, woo.
But We Own the Night, a good movie. You guys should definitely go check it out, especially, again, if you're into kind of the mobster kind of movies, it's a good one. Jeremy, you've got one more movie you want to talk about. Why don't you let us know what it is?
Yeah, I'll let you all know what it is since no one has fucking heard of this, and this is why I did that. Because, yes, I did this on purpose, and I'm so glad I've done this many damn drinks, because now I save it for the ones I want to talk about the most. Stop laughing at me.
What's the movie?
No, but the movie is The Walking Deceased. And yes, you heard me right. I did not say The Walking Dead, which I do love.
2015.
Even now, yes, 2015. Now, this is out of the era of that early 2000s, like, making spoof movies of, not like Scary Movie, but like Vampires Suck, fucking shit like that.
So it's a parody.
What's that one with three? It was like, well, of like 300 or some shit. Yeah, it's a parody. Now, this is I upgraded from Kmart to a Walmart. I saw this on the bottom shelf, and I was just like, that looks like the fucking, which is one of my favorite posters from season 3 of Andrew Lincoln, Rick Grimes staying on the top of the prison bus, like holding his fucking pistol out to the side. I was like, but is this dude doing this fancy little like dab with his fucking gun? I'm like, what the fuck? I gotta watch this. I have to. I'm sorry, because it was one of my favorite shows. And this movie like makes fun of like every zombie thing you've ever heard of. Like, I can't really even say much of a plot because that's just kind of all it is. Like, it makes fun of 28 Days Later, Walking Dead, Zombieland, Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Survival of the Dead. It's got Warm Bodies. It's got a mix of everything. It's just funny to see all culminate together. It's not a badly made movie. Like, it had to have had some money behind it. The production value is still pretty good. And it just got little jokes here and there of just this group of, you kind of got like the Walking Dead crew mixed with like a Zombieland crew together trying to like survive in a mall. That's the Dawn of the Dead angle. They go to this farm, which is kind of like season 2 Walking Dead that everybody loves. I know you all love that season. along with Survival of the Dead, them trying to prove that like the zombie thing wasn't, whatever. It's just a fun little spoof movie. I found myself actually laughing several times because I mean it does some tropes too that it's like, oh well we're all gonna riot if Daryl Dixon dies, like fucking. And it's funny because the only character that actually fucking dies, I'm gonna ruin it, is the one who's the Daryl character. I'm like, I laughed so fucking hard at that. I'm like, oh my god, of course he fucking dies. Damn it. It is the dumbest way too. But whatever. I don't know. It's yeah, even for like 2015, you can make a Miley Cyrus joke at the end and still find it fucking funny to this day. And I'm just gonna say that and let you figure out what it is. It's still funny.
I've got to be honest, I didn't even hear this movie until Jeremy texted me his list. And I was like, seriously, I wanted to text him and be like, do you mean Walking Dead? Like, because
No,
I wasn't sure they had made a
that wouldn't make
movie,
sense. No,
but whatever.
not yet. Yeah.
And then I pulled it up.
No, they're making.
I was like, no shit, this is a real movie.
Yeah, you were like me. I was like, son of a bitch, I gotta watch this. Holy shit! A couple bucks, and I thought, fuck it, why not? What have I got to lose? It just plays on tropes of like I love Walking Dead. Like, there's the whole, it mirrors the same, like that first scene where Rick finds that little girl. Like, you see like a little girl sitting there kind of with her back turned, and he's like, little girl, look, are you okay? And she turns out to be totally fine. And she's like, I'm not lost. I'm looking for my dad. And he's like, that's exactly what a zombie would say. Shoots her in the fucking head. I'm like, it's it's so stupid, but it's so fucking funny. Oh, it makes fun of Shaun of the Dead too, and zombie strippers. Like in one scene, it's fucking like you got Nick and the Nick Frost and Simon Pegg character in the fucking strip club with the zombie strippers. It's run by his name's not Carl, and they keep making that damn joke where he's like, "I missed you, Carl." He's like, "My name's Chris." The fuck? They run that joke into the ground. It's so fucking funny. Love it. It's definitely. Trust me, you'll laugh.
Cora asked if you've seen the movie. I'm willing to bet you haven't.
I've never even heard of it.
I feel like me and Jeremy need to sit and watch this now because I'm like, because it sounds a little bit spoofish, but not necessarily spoof.
It is.
It's supposed to be its own thing, but at the same time, I mean, it understands that the genre is kind of a joke anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, Walking Dead certainly takes itself seriously, but every movie that comes out now seems to be a bit of a spoof from what it is. Or what the genre
I love that they
anyway.
did. I love that they did that. It's just kind of like, well, we know we're just gonna poke fun at it. Fuck it. I have the movie on DVD still. I will, if you want to watch it, I'll bring it over and just turn your brain off and just fucking just revel in the ridiculousness.
Look, I don't know. I'll have to find some way to check this out. You said you bought this on DVD somewhere?
I did. I found it at Walmart. It was like on the bottom shelf. Like I said, I just saw that. You have the poster up right there. I'm like, it looks like that really cool poster from season 3 where Rick's staying on the bus with his gun out, and I'm like, but it's this dude just like doing this, and I'm like, oh, I have to see it. I have to. Oh God.
I don't get the way he's standing. He's got he's twisted one way, then twisting back the other, and he's not even looking down the side of his gun, which I find hilarious.
No. Well, because Rick doesn't either. Everyone made fun of Andrew Lincoln for holding his gun fucking like this for like 5 seasons, so whatever. No, I do have it on DVD. If you do want to watch it, let me know, because I will still watch it and still laugh just as hard.
So somebody go watch The Walking Deceased and then hit me up on Twitter and let me know if this movie's any good or not. Then maybe one of these days I'll call Jeremy and be like, hey, why don't you guys come over and bring that movie so we can go watch. Somebody be my guinea pig. Go give this movie a shot.
Blow him up on Twitter right now.
Yeah, blow me up on Twitter. Go watch The Walking Deceased and then let me know how it is. Yeah, go watch it. Okay, now I've got one more. But before I do, let's do the shameless plug for the Patreon. For just $5 a month, if you support the channel, at the Patreon link on your screen, you can get entered for a chance to win $25 a month in free movie tickets that we give out on the first Thursday show of every month. The whole point of this is not to really make us any money. It's really to get you guys back out to the theaters. The theaters are open now. Movies are coming out. Fast 9 is out. All kinds of stuff is coming. It's looking to be a really, really big summer. And the movie theater industry needs this, not because the production companies need to make money. They're going to get their money one way or the other, but because we got to get back out there and support the kids that are working the concession stand, the kids that are working the box office, all the people that are helping give us the movie experience that we all love. So if you support us for just $5 a month, you can win $25 a month in free movie tickets that we give away on the first Thursday of every month. Just want to get everybody back out into enjoying the theater experience. Go to the theater. They're depending on us to help get them going again. Let's go out there and do it. We can do that, and this is a little thing that we do to try to help facilitate that. If you support the channel, we thank you very, very much. And I'll get to my next movie now, and I was hoping to shock some people with this movie. I don't think I will. It's developed a bit of a cult following over the years. But I think there are aspects of this movie that tend to go overlooked. And thank you, Cora, for putting the Patreon link in the description. If you guys are interested in helping out, you can get us on that link. It's also in the description of all the videos if you guys want to look into that. But I wanted to try to shock a few people. Look, I really do enjoy this film. I think it's fun to watch for many, many reasons. And it is To Wong Fu, thanks for everything, Julie Newmar. It's developed a bit of a cult following on its own, but let me explain to you why I've always thought this movie was much better than a lot of people give it credit for. For one, Patrick Swayze, God rest him, Hall of Famer. Who'd have thought you would ever see Patrick Swayze in drag? After seeing him in movies like Roadhouse and Dirty Dancing and stuff like that, who'd ever thought you'd see him do a movie where he dresses in drag? Ghost, yeah. Who'd ever thought you would see him in a dress playing a drag queen?
Point Break.
But that's the fun. That's the fun of his character. It's like there's no way you'd ever expect it. But he turns in actually a very emotional performance at various points over the course of this film. The other one is John Leguizamo, who is mostly known for his comedic stuff. He actually does some very good dramatic roles as well. It makes perfect sense that you would see him dress in drag and play a comedic role. He's hilarious in the movie. But the one who really kind of stands out to me is Wesley Snipes. For one, we all know Wesley Snipes' background of the martial arts, Blade, all the action stuff that he's done. You wouldn't think that you would ever see him play a movie where he's a drag queen. But his comedic timing is actually very, very good. We just recently did our review of Coming to America 2, the sequel. And while the movie did not review well by a lot of people said that Wesley Snipes is very funny in it. And he has done some comedic stuff over the course of his career.
Yes.
It's very funny. His comedic timing's spot on. He is not just the action star. He is actually a very, very funny individual. His comedic delivery is fantastic. But then you get this weird thing. It's like, you've got these actors that are all dressed in drag. They stumble across this nowhere town in the desert somewhere where these people probably don't even know what a drag queen is or a transgendered person or anything like that is. And you would think that it would be like, oil and water, but there really is this strange bond that develops between these two very different group of people. And it is the ultimate visual of the kind of acceptance that we all hope for. When you look at like the LGBT community and stuff like that, how they are just warmly accepted into this community, even though it's known that they're a little left of center. They're not exactly really women that are dressed as women. They're actually guys, and it's followed up by some great. I know Stockard Channing is in it. I forget who else was in it. Let me pull up the cast list so I can make sure I get this right, because I don't want to leave anybody out. Yeah, it's got the Wesley Snipes, Patrick Swayze, John Leguizamo. It's got Stockard Channing, who I love.
Blythe Danner, man. I forgot she was in that.
Yeah, Blythe Danner, another absolutely fantastic actress. Let's see, Arliss Howard's in it. Chris
Alice
Penn.
Drummond, she was fantastic.
Yeah, Chris Penn, Jason London. RuPaul actually has a small cameo in it.
Michael Vartan is in this. I forgot.
Yeah, there's
the guy from Alias.
Yeah, there's Melinda Dillon, who was huge. Is like one of the mom roles throughout the 80s and 90s. There's just so many great supporting, and of course Julie Newmar plays herself in a cameo towards the very end, and then of course a lot of people that are big in the LGBT community, especially the trans community. Miss Underwood plays herself at one point, a bunch of other people, but yeah, it's a fun movie. I mean, you would think this movie would be a bit of a put up, but it's really not. It's actually very heartfelt. And it's brilliantly acted by everybody, especially Patrick Swayze and Wesley Snipes. It's like I said, I would assume John Leguizamo would have done something like this because he's a goofy comedian anyway. Like I said, some great dramatic roles as well, but I mean, he's a comedian at his heart, so you would imagine that he would do something like this. But before this movie came out, who would have ever pictured Patrick Swayze in a dress on screen? If you would have ever said that, they'd have called you crazy. And if you think now that you'd say, oh yeah, I totally would have. No, you didn't. I'm calling you a liar.
Have you ever seen the movie Stardust? You get to see Dustin, not Dustin.
Oh yeah, it's,
Robert De Niro in a dress.
De Niro, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Stardust. Maybe I almost saw it once, but I didn't. But Wesley Snipes and Patrick Swayze, they just blow me away in this movie. For one, Patrick Swayze, great actor. For two, Wesley Snipes is fucking hilarious. And then, of course, John Leguizamo is fucking hilarious. But there's a very emotional connection that these characters make to this nowhere town of like 15 people. That they break them out of this tedium and boredom. I mean, seriously, they're a town that is made up of basically motorhomes. It's like they're out in the middle of damn nowhere. And these people are so detached from the real world. So you would imagine that a couple of drag queens on their way to some drag queen competition somewhere would just blow them out of their socks. Their faces would just melt. Yeah. But it doesn't. It is a great story of acceptance by these people who you would think are just backwards, but they're like, nah, we just love people for who they are. It's a good visual of what we should all feel about anybody who doesn't think like us or is just even a little bit different from us. Be this accepting. That's kind of the ultimate lesson that I took from from the townspeople in this movie is be that accepting. If you're that accepting, you're going to find yourself much, much happier in life. But,
Agreed.
Cora, it sounds like you've seen this movie more than once, just like me. What do you think
loved it. Loved it years ago. Still love it. Yeah. Yep. Fantastic movie.
And if you're a car person, the car they drive around is dope as fuck, too.
Yes, it's beautiful.
It's like some old, I want to say, 60s Cadillac, or convertible Caddy, or something like that. Just...
Just something really stunning about how very masculine actors. It just shows you how. Anyways, I liked it. I think they cast it very well. I think it'd be very different if they used nobodies. I think it's fantastic. Patrick Swayze, Wesley Snipes, and John Leguizamo were up for doing something like this. I mean, back in '95, it wasn't as socially acceptable as it is now. So, it was a risk, and I'm glad they took it.
Also, their names are absolutely hilarious. Wesley Snipes' name is Noxema, which I found absolutely fucking hilarious. Patrick Swayze's is Vita, and John Leguizamo's is Chi-Chi. I was like, those are great names.
Yeah.
I'm really surprised that this movie doesn't have a better Rotten Tomatoes score, if for no other reason. I mean, because as I'm looking at my computer right now, it says, I think, what did I say, 39? 39% on Rotten Tomatoes. I figured people would have given it more favorable ratings just because the social justice warriors would have rolled up there and jacked up the ratings just to make it out like everybody loves the transgendered people. But, I mean, you can make a movie about transgendered people and still be a terrible movie. But I think this movie is very, very good. I'm trying to remember. I know I've read stuff about this movie, but it was so long ago that I can't remember some of the stuff that it was. Because in my head, I had some pretty good trivia, but now I'm drawing a blank on all of it. But yeah, Julie Newmar herself is in the role at one point. Well, it did pretty well at the box office. It came shortly after The Excellent Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, and the two films are very similar in narrative. So it probably suffered a lot from that. I've actually heard that Priscilla, Queen of the Desert was a much more serious film. I kind of like the comedy aspect of this movie. I just think, for people who are not very open-minded about this kind of thing, it could kind of help draw them in and help them learn the lesson that this movie tries to teach. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree.
But, Julie Newmar, of course, a movie about 3 drag queens who are on a cross-country road trip with the inscrutable title opened in more than 1,200 screens and finished number 1 at the box office. But yet it's got, 39% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's got a 60 on Metacritic, which isn't terrible. But then again, I don't trust any of these movie website.
Exactly.
I can't trust any of them anymore because I think they're too easily manipulated by stupid people. But yeah, it's a great film that I think you guys should check out. Jeremy, have you seen this?
I haven't, but everything you guys have said, I want to now. This sounds entertaining as hell.
It's great. It's great.
Like Patrick Swayze is one of my mom's absolute favorite actors, but so I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of like a weird. I want to see just about everything he's been in, and I've actually not seen this, so this sounds fun.
For some reason, I can't really explain why, but the opening scene really kind of pulls you in. It's like Patrick Swayze is walking out of the bathroom with a towel around his waist, and it just looks like he's getting ready to start his day. He's just Patrick Swayze. You've seen him in a million movies looking like this. He sits down at this mirror, and then he kind of looks at the mirror, and you just see Patrick Swayze, and then you kind of see in his eyes, and then he to the mirror and goes, "Here comes Mama," and then you see this whole montage of him putting the makeup and the wig and the dress and fitting everything on. So you're watching this transition from Patrick Swayze to Vita in the opening scene, and it's hard to take your eyes off of because again, it's Patrick Swayze, it's Roadhouse, it's Dirty Dancing, it's all these other action kinds of things he's been in, and he's putting on a dress.
Red Dawn.
Red Dawn, yeah. You're seeing this guy, and for some reason he's putting on a dress, but again, these guys aren't just believable. It's like they really took these roles seriously, I thought. That it wasn't just something they were doing to have some fun with a movie. It's like they really believed in the kind of message that this movie was trying to put forward. And again, Wesley Snipes is fucking hilarious. His comedic chops are gold. I mean, I'd love to watch him do the stuff that he does, Passenger 57 and blah, 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 all that action stuff and fighting. But at the same time, he's hilarious. He's absolutely hilarious. And John Leguizamo
is a funny dude.
Yeah, John Leguizamo was his typical. I mean, I kind of laughed. I think the last time I watched this movie was a while ago, but I kind of laughed because you ever seen that John Leguizamo movie, The Pest?
No.
That's my favorite John Leguizamo movie. It's fucking hilarious. It's basically what's that one book? Most Dangerous Game, where the guy hunts human beings because he's hunted every other animal.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically a comedic take on that book. It's absolutely hilarious. But I mean, yeah, that's like, this is my second favorite John Leguizamo to that movie. I think The Pest is John Leguizamo's best movie. But yeah, I mean, and he's funny in it. But again, it's a great message. It's funny.
Not the Super Mario movie?
No, not the Super Mario movie. I would love to erase the Super Mario movie from all memory.
We all would. We all would. Trust me.
Yeah, I think Mario wants to erase that from all memory. But Nintendo wants to erase that from all memory. But it's a fun movie. Honestly, this is the kind of movie, because it's got the chick flick aspects, obviously. It's very female-centric. So, I mean, so Rachel would probably want to sit and watch it for the chick flick aspect if she's into those kind of movies. I don't know if she is or not. But it's just funny.
I don't think she is.
Yeah, well, it's just funny. And then, of course, the things that, like Patrick Swayze kicking the... when they first get pulled over, Chris Penn is the one that plays the stupid sheriff who spends the entire movie out to prove that the chicks are dudes, even though everybody pretty much knows that. And he's like trying to search Patrick Swayze, and he goes, "What's this, lady?" He goes, "It's my dick, Barney," and then turns around and knees him in the nuts. It's like, it's so funny.
No.
There's so much about this movie that is just pure gold. I don't understand why this movie came and went so quickly. And what really kind of surprised me is when Patrick Swayze unfortunately passed away, everybody was kind of going through his filmography and saying, "Oh, I loved him in this movie, loved him in this movie." They overlooked this movie. And I'm like, this is some of his best acting. Because how many guys can go out there dressed in drag and be this good? I'm sorry, there are some fine actors in Hollywood history that would not be able to pull this role off as smoothly as he did.
I agree. I agree 100%.
Getting some Tim Curry vibes, like fucking Rocky Horror Picture Show. Motherfucker went out there and owned it.
I really do think he's kind of that level in this movie in a lot of ways. Not nearly as flamboyant,
awesome.
Not nearly as, I don't know, I'll just stick with flamboyant, but just kind of out there. So,
yeah.
I don't want to call Tim Curry's performance cartoonish, because I absolutely love him in that movie as well. But,
love that movie.
I'll just stick with flamboyant, but colorful out there, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Like that, but he is, Patrick Swayze is a very elegant woman and handles himself like a real lady. And I was like, good God, that's acting the shit out of this thing. And I really, it's disappointing that so many people overlook this when they talk about his entire body of work for his entire life. But yeah, it's a fantastic movie that I really think you guys should check out. It's fun. It's just fun to watch. And again, don't watch it thinking, oh, they're going to think I'm gay because I'm watching this movie. Watch this movie because it's funnier than shit.
Well, it has nothing to do with your sexuality. It's just a funny fucking movie.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you think about it, every movie you watch, someone's playing someone they're not. This movie is just no different.
Yeah, this is like a different twist on, what's that Billy Crystal movie where he and his buddies go to the ranch, and Curly.
City Slickers.
It's Western. Yeah, it's kind of like a different twist on that. I don't know why I put those two together, but three friends going on an adventure, being in a strange place with strange circumstances where they're not necessarily comfortable and know how everything goes. It's kind of like a little, friend adventure movie as well. So, yeah.
Yes, really mysterious. I love Clockwork Orange. That is one of my.
I was about to say.
Right.
That's one that I'm.
I was gonna be like, I'm singing in the rain.
Yeah, I've really been hoping to try to get Jeremy over here so we could watch that and do a retro review of it. I'm kind of holding on to that one.
I'm trying to get a copy of it.
It's a fantastic movie. It's great. It's some of Kubrick's best work, in my opinion. But I think that just about wraps it up for tonight, folks. I think we've gone through all of our list of movies. I didn't miss anybody, did I? I don't believe I did.
I don't think so.
Let's go to the chat real quick, see what some of you guys are saying. Rachel is not a fan of chick flicks, but this looks interesting to me. Give it a watch. It's a fun movie. The Pest is so fucking funny, says JCS Foot Rub. It is. One of my favorite lines is when his girlfriend's friend, that he meets up with him early in the movie, and he says something about her being fat. She goes, "These pants make me look fat." And he goes, "No, your fat butt makes you look fat." Like, it's such a goofy movie. It's so funny. Let's see. What is some of you guys saying? John Candy, who's Harry Crumb, is also underrated. I agree. It's very sad that John Candy has been so forgotten over the last several years.
Yeah.
That guy's whole catalog is so funny, all the way back to his stuff in the 70s. His well, not Second City. What was he at? He was at the Canadian stuff. I forget what the hell it was called.
Canadian Bacon.
No, that was the movie that he was making when he died. But he was part of the big comedy troupe with Dave Thomas and a bunch of guys up in Canada in the 70s and early 80s. But they gave us a lot of really fantastic comedians. Really Mysterious says The End with Burt Reynolds and Dom DeLuise. Crazy People with Dudley Moore. Dudley Moore was absolutely freaking hilarious. Arthur is one of my favorite movies to watch to this day. About Last Night with Rob Lowe and Dudley Moore is underrated. I haven't even heard the name of that. I haven't even heard the name from that movie in years. That's an interesting pick. Let's see. Andy Williams' voice was actually too smooth. Oh yeah, there was a debate going on between Jennifer and Really Mysterious about Harry Connick Jr. and Sinatra as to who was the best. I don't know. I'm kind of siding with Sinatra. I do love Harry Connick Jr. He can sing like a motherfucker, but I don't know. That's Sinatra. Sinatra was a whole other level.
Sinatra is the top man for me when it comes to voices.
I'm kind of siding with Sinatra on that one, but I do love me some Harry Connick.
Well, also fly your ass to the moon.
Well, Harry Connick Jr. definitely beats Michael Bublé. That's for fucking sure. A lot of people compare Michael Bublé to Frank Sinatra. I'm like, nah.
No. Michael Bublé? No. You can keep your Michael Bublé.
Nah.
I'll take some. I like some Harry Connick Jr., but no, I still think Sinatra's probably the best of the two.
Agreed.
Thank all you guys in the chat for being so awesome and hanging out tonight. 12 viewers strong at the end. That's actually really, really good for us, and I'm very, very happy. Chat was...
Next Thursday, we're doing the war movies, by the way. So that is going to be awesome.
Yeah, war movies next week. And I'll probably release another retro movie review on Monday if we don't do something live.
Cool.
We'll figure that out between now
For Memorial Day?
For Memorial Day, that's right. But and thanks, obviously, to my co-host for being so wonderful, to the Dowager Countess Lady Cora for being her usual amazing self, for my hetero wife, Jeremy, for being so awesome, my partner in crime, one of the founding members of this channel. Thank you for being so awesome, and thank Rachel for sparing you for a couple hours to come do this a couple days a week. I don't know why you choose to spend time with me or spending time with her, because she's so much cooler than I am. But we thank her for letting us have you for a couple hours. And to all you guys, a couple new subscribers tonight, thank you guys for subscribing. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. And we'll see you guys again next week. Adios.